You will apologize on your knees." The queen laughed as if his words were a joke, but her expression contorted, making her laughing face seem more like a grimace. "I am still the queen, you little—" Someone placed a hand across her mouth to stop her, but she slapped the person's hand away. "How do you expect me to get on my knees for this? For this?" Her eyes darted to me, and an ugly expression twisted her face. She swallowed the slur on the tip of her tongue when she turned back to Killian. Whatever she saw on his face had her swallowing. "Will my first decree as the Alpha King be for your beheading, mother?" My mouth went dry after he spoke. Your Majesty." It was Scarlet's father that spoke then. "It will be a disgrace to the royal family for the queen to get on her knees. As a symbol of the dignity, you're giving me a headache, Alpha Hawk." Those words, spoken with quiet warning, silenced the restless crowd. "I will take your silence as defiance against the throne. My throne." A cruel smile crossed his lip for a split second. The queen wore a frightening expression on her face that looked both agitated and enraged. "Your Majesty?" Someone else tried to intervene, but a single look silenced them. "Very well. My mother has decided to undermine the power of the throne in the presence of everyone, so I will have to act accordingly as the king." The king clapped his hands twice, and a group of men dressed in red and black uniforms materialized from nowhere. At a glance, it seemed they had materialized from thin air, but then I noticed they'd been standing at the sides all along, still as statues blending in with the hall's decorations. For contempt against the throne, I, Alpha King Killian I, sentenced Dowager Queen Cordelia to D. A scream rent the air, cutting off his words. "I'll kneel." The words were wrenched out of the queen, followed by a burst of bitter and chilling laughter. "If the king asks me to kneel, who am I not to kneel?" With grace and dignity, she gathered her flowing apparel and lowered herself to her knees. Murmurs broke out around the hall. Some people gasped, and others dared to point at the queen on her knees. I couldn't keep my mouth from falling open at the dignified woman on her knees in presence of both alphas and omegas. "I apologize, Your Majesty. I am sorry for unwittingly insulting your Luna." She spoke with a drawl, and again her words ended with a harsh and bitter laugh. "You should not be apologizing to me." Killian spared me a glance. The queen's gaze followed his and landed on me. Her gaze was blank as she gave a small nod. "I am sorry for insulting you," she muttered in a quiet voice. "Apologize for earlier too," Killian interjected. Her eyes flashed with hostility for a second, but she nodded again. Like a little child, she opened her mouth and followed instructions. "I am sorry about earlier too." It's okay," I muttered with flaming cheeks. Her apology and humiliation should get me excited, but I wouldn't deny it was too much disgracing her in presence of everyone like this. Even I felt sorry for her, and I wasn't the type to feel sorry for the misfortune of those that tormented me. She was the queen, the most respected woman in the kingdom. Whether the dowager or not, she was still the only legally recognized queen in the kingdom, a dignified symbol of the royal family, and she had been forced to her knees to apologize to a peasant girl who she'd tried to intimidate. "Very well. You may rise." Two girls rushed to the queen to help her up, but she shrugged them off, standing on her own and exiting the room without a backward glance, her shoulders stiff. "You all may proceed to the reception," Killian addressed the equally terrified and excited crowd. "Come." He offered me a hand, and I took it after a moment of hesitation. I understood that all these were his methods of getting the kingdom to believe in our sham of a mating, but it still unnerved me that he could treat the woman he called mother with such cruelty. There was no doubt that this was a dangerous man to play with, but telling the woman that raised him to kneel before a crowd of people beneath her painted him in a more cruel light than I'd first seen. Was that really necessary?" I asked as we left the throne room. "You are in no place to question me." The cold words shut me right up. "Right," I muttered. "Yes, I should not forget my place." I was nothing but a fake mate that he was using to get Scarlet off his tail. If you think it was for your benefit, it was not. I wasn't stupid enough to believe he did all that for me. The queen had tried to insult him by making me wear a slave choker that belonged to his mother. That was his revenge against her, but he dragged me into it. He needed an excuse, and as usual, he used me. I knew I was getting the short end of the deal by agreeing to be his fake mate, but I also knew I was still getting more than I could ever hope to achieve on my own. Yet, the way he used me as he liked would backfire on me, and he would not even care. I already had Scarlet on my tail, and now the queen. He did not give a rat's ass about me, but he didn't have to be so dismissive of a simple question. We got to the reception, and we were guided to our seats. Alpha Hawk, the most powerful man in the kingdom after the king, opened the ceremony with a toast. This time I was seated next to Killian. When he moved, the flowing red robes of the king brushed against me, making the hair on my arms rise. That was how closely seated we were. To keep up appearances, he served me. I saw some women in the crowd fan their faces at that gesture. The king serving a peasant's meal. Whether he was a murderous bastard or not, it didn't matter to them. He was a powerful man, and his looks were the most superior in the kingdom, so they swooned at his actions. If only they knew that even his seemingly romantic gestures were born out of selfishness. My mood plummeted the longer the ceremony continued, and it continued for quite a while. The kingdom would feast for 7 days to celebrate the new king, and every feast would last from dawn until dusk. Smile. The prince. King's face entered my vision, blocking my view. I tilted my body backwards, but his head drew even closer. He was close enough for me to see the flecks in his red eyes. What are you? I stuttered when he held my nape, preventing me from turning away. If you keep frowning, people will have questions. Smile or I'll have to kiss you. My lips pulled upwards effortlessly. That's a creepy smile, he whispered, his breath hitting my face. But it will have to do. He let me go and readjusted his robes. I looked up to see people gawking at me, the women with reddened cheeks. I did not dare look up again after that, but their gazes still burnt holes into my skin. A server brought wine, and I grabbed the cup closest to me, holding it out to be filled. A sweet taste filled my mouth, and my eyes widened in surprise. I'd only drank leftover wine from glasses I had to wash, and they always tasted bland or bitter, so I didn't expect wine to be sweet like this. I gulped the cup in a short time and reached for the bottle next to me. You like it? Killian muttered, tone soft but eyes indifferent. I nodded in response, and he grabbed the bottle from me and poured my glass. Thank you, I muttered, draining my cup a second time. The wine was sweet, but I did not want to seem like a glutton drinking so much in such a short time. More? Killian asked, but I shook my head. He shrugged and turned back to the event playing out before us. A group of children from a pack I didn't care to listen to were praying for the king's reign. After a couple of minutes, I felt my insides warm. Uncomfortable, I poured myself a third cup of wine, nursing it this time. The problem started after that. My eyes. The world swarmed before my eyes, and my vision began to blink out. What? Did the queen find a way to poison me already? I panicked, my heart beating as fast as my head spun. My hands tugged at the sleeve of Killian's robes. He was leaning over to listen to the man beside him, so he shrugged me off. On another day, I would not dare touch him like that, but I was freaking out. My heart threatened to burst, and I thought it was due to the poison in my system. I tugged at his sleeve relentlessly until he turned to me with eyes clouded with annoyance. What is it? He hissed. I shrank away for a second before shaking my head. It was not the time to let fear silence me. I may have been poisoned. As I spoke, my words slurred into each other, and the king's pissed expression blanked out from my vision for a second. I served you from my plate. How is it that you've been poisoned, but I haven't? He sounded unimpressed, uninterested even. If this is a ploy... He started, but my head spun faster. I think it's the wine. I pointed at the bottle that I'd drained. You are drunk, he said with a small bark of laughter. How can you be drunk from this wine? It barely has any alcohol. His tone mocked me. The heat spreading through my body intensified, and this time it was from embarrassment. How pathetic. He didn't sneer, but the effect was the same. How could he? All I'd done was drink wine that tasted good to my inferior taste buds, and now he mocked me. How could one man take a piss on my esteem the way this one did? Tears gathered in my eyes, but I blinked them away. I knew what I was getting myself into when I agreed to act as his mate. It was too late for me to feel sorry for myself, and I would be darned if I let this kind of a person see how much his words hurt me. Me, who'd made a thick shell over my skin to bounce off the derogatory remarks thrown at me every day. I didn't know, I muttered. My voice was weak and my gaze darkened some more. I felt struck by a spell of blindness from the way my vision wavered. Was this what drunkenness felt like? You have no wolf, but you still drank a full bottle of wine. It barely contains any alcohol, but even you should have known better, he chided. Didn't he pour me my second cup and offer me a third? I didn't know, but he knew. The Alpha King and his mate will now open the dance floor. Even in my blurry mind, I could process those words. I paled when I realized I was the said mate. I can't dance, I whispered, leaning into the king. I never learnt to dance, and now I was drunk. Please grace the stage, your majesty. Claps and cheers almost rendered me deaf. You have to stand if you don't want everyone to realize you are drunk, Killian said. But if I stand... My train of thought scrambled for a second. I'll fall if I stand. I slurred the words. Not with me here. He stood and took my hand, pulling me with him. I would have stumbled if his strong and firm hands didn't wrap around my waist. He all but carried me down the stairs, and then the music started. I couldn't tell what was happening as my vision had turned dim. Raise your hands. Soft words touched my ears and stirred something inside of me. I raised my hands, and he guided them appropriately. Now just let your body go. I didn't have a choice, as my body was out of my control at that point. He guided me through the dance, moving slowly to the song. I didn't have to do anything as he led me throughout the dance. We stopped moving, and I heard cheers, and then he was leading me away. Your Majesty, the event is not over yet. Where are you? Someone was saying, but he cut them off. Carry on without me. I have something I need to do, he answered. Oh, yes. I heard someone giggle, but I couldn't turn my face, focusing on holding up my smile. He led me back to the main palace, up to our room, and then he put me on the bed, taking off my shoes. He was oddly attentive for someone usually dismissive of my existence outside of the public's eyes. It did not take me long to fall asleep as my back touched the bed. I expected a bizarre dream to plague me as soon as I fell asleep, as was common for me these days, but thankfully, it didn't happen. I slept like a baby with no dreams until the lace fabric on my outfit started to itch. My sleep was so peaceful that I resisted the urge to wake up, but the itch became worse. I itched the parts of my skin covered in lace as my eyes blinked open. Do you want me to take it off? Cool words washed against my skin, but my mind was too muddled to make complete sense of them. I muttered, yawning widely as I tried to reach my zip. Do you need help? Even cooler words. They were low and they stirred a building heat in my guts. It was the moment when his hand reached for me that the sleep vanished from my eyes. Killian was propped up against a pillow, and his eyes were fixated on me like a hawk, like a predator who'd found its prey. I swallowed down through a dry throat. The look in his eyes was unfamiliar, but I understood. Do you need help taking off your clothes? I shook my head hurriedly as he offered for the third time. No, I'm fine. I rushed out of bed, but the sheets were wrapped around my body, so I fell when trying to escape the bed, and the man whose gaze made me feel funny. Are you okay? He peered at me from atop the bed, his red eyes still gleaming in a way that made my skin prickle. I'm okay. I untangled myself from the sheets and rushed to my feet. He went back to his position in the middle of the bed, a pillow propped up behind him, and his hands clasped behind his neck. His eyes did not stray from me. You. Why are you looking at me like that? I cried in frustration when his heated gaze made me stumble about like a fool. It was a look I'd seen men give to women they wanted to take to bed, but I didn't think he wanted that with me. After all, I want you, he blurted. I was wrong, preferably now. I choked on my saliva. If my skin got any hotter, I would burn to ashes. What do you... But you... So many words flashed in my head, but I couldn't form sentences as he adjusted himself on the bed. He'd taken off his robes and his coat, leaving him in his trousers and innerwear that hugged his muscles. When it moved, the gesture somehow seemed seductive. Maybe it was because of the look he was giving me, but him adjusting himself on the bed seemed erotic. I can't. I continued my rambling, and he kept his heated gaze on me while I fought for air to enter my lungs. You said you weren't attracted to me, I finally spoke. That was weeks ago. He threw the comment out there with a flippant shrug. Do I have to explain why I want you? I shook my head hurriedly. No, but my heart pounded faster than it did when I got drunk. What if I don't want you, liar? I blinked as he murmured. You were rutting against me in your sleep, and even now I can smell your arousal. I hung my head in shame at my body's betrayal. Was I aroused? I didn't know, but I knew my body felt funny. Why would this man arouse me? Even as I asked the question, my mind already supplied the answer. The king was taking off his shirt, and as his muscles flexed, I caught myself swallowing. He was effortlessly attractive. I'm ready when you are. He relaxed into the bed, and my heart stuttered. I had never been attracted to anyone before to the point of thinking of sex, so why now? Why this man? Was it because we were supposed to be fake mates? Did sharing a bed with him? You are wasting time. Why this cruel and arrogant man? Do you need help with your dress? No, just... I shook my head, taking a step back. My body urged me to take a step forward, throw caution to the wind, and engage in the fire dancing in his eyes, but... Come to me, Amethyst. My name rolling off his lips was never that seductive. Or do you want me to come to you? My head moved. I didn't know if I nodded or shook my head, but his gaze sharpened. I am the Alpha King. His words were a low growl. You answer to me. It is not the other way around. Come to me. Ice-cold water drenched the lust in my guts as my lips curled. No. I raised my head and jutted out my chin. I don't want to have sex with you. Even if he could smell my arousal, he could not confirm it, so I lied straight through my teeth. He was the Alpha King while I was a nobody. I did not expect to stand on equal footing with him, but he could at least treat me like a person and not a dog that would roll over if he commanded it. Are you about to defy my authority? His eyes darkened further, and this time, it was not due to lust. His biting words made me shiver, but I refused to back down. In this, I had a choice. I said I don't want to have sex with you, so what are you going to do? Force me. As the words fell from my lips, my chest tightened. He was infinitely stronger than I was. If he held me down, there would be no escaping, and even if I screamed loud enough for people in the next building to hear, no one would come to my aid. I should not goad him when I was a powerless rat next to him, but I already uttered the words, and I could not take them back. My feet inched closer to the door, preparing for an escape. Do not insult me, Amethyst. I heard anger ring in his voice. I can smell your arousal, but if you want to deny it, then so be it. Force you? He growled. What kind of a man do you take me for? He killed people with reckless abandon, and he may have murdered his own brother in cold blood. He had no regard for me as a person, yet he expected me to think of him as someone above forcing himself on a woman? Do you want to know what kind of a man I think you are? I spat out, glaring at him. Do you? You use me as you please, in public and in private. You look at me like a stain on your shoes. Do you really want to know what kind of a man I think you are? The way his expression shuddered off had me rethinking my words. I didn't mean to say that, I mumbled, looking at the headboard behind him. Sorry, I'm sorry. I rushed to apologize. Where had my self-preservation gone? How could I dare raise my voice at the Alpha King after accusing him of being a defiler? That's the longest you have ever looked me in the eye. His thunderous expression cleared up as his brows creased. Oh, what? I glanced at him before turning to a spot near his head. Looking an alpha in the eye was no easy feat, as an alpha's eyes were a mirror of their power. Killian, of course, being the most powerful alpha in the kingdom, was especially harder to look in the eye. All right, I will oblige you this once. He braced himself with his knuckles and pushed out of bed slowly. Oh, so slowly, my mouth watered, watching the muscles on his upper body flex. What? I mumbled to myself, watching him saunter over to me, his hips moving in a delectable way. I swallowed audibly as he came to stand before me. What are you? His thumb brushed my bottom lip. Are you certain you do not want me? He mumbled into my ear, his teeth nibbling on my earlobe. Are you seducing me? My brain packed up when he gripped my waist. Does it seem that way? He asked. Is that what you want, Amethyst? My name on his lips sounded decadent. I am not above seduction. He flicked a tongue against my earlobe. I want you panting for me, so if it is seduction... Hey, don't tease me. I closed my eyes when the heat from his body seared me. I would not dare. I heard amusement in his tone. Can I take you then? Do I have your consent to ravish you, or do you want to keep lying to yourself? I don't want to, I mumbled as his teeth grazed my neck. You don't want to what? He breathed against my skin with his hand massaging my thigh. I don't want to keep lying to myself. My words slurred as his hands moved upwards on my thigh. What was that? The scent of your arousal is messing with my senses. I said not to tease me. He caressed my thighs through my dress, warming my skin. It made me wonder what it would feel like if he touched my skin directly. Since you asked so politely, as your king, I have to listen to your pleas. With that, he stopped joking around. He slid down my zipper and pulled the lace off me, leaving me in my underwear. Those didn't take long to go the same route my dress, leaving me bare in front of him. He took a step back to take in my whole appearance, and I couldn't take it anymore. Although I acknowledged I was attracted to him for reasons I couldn't fully explain, and I was giddy to do this with him, it didn't make me any less nervous or embarrassed. I'd never been naked in front of a man before, and the way his eyes trailed down my body made my skin redden. Hands off. He tugged my hands away from my chest when I tried to hide. You have filled up quite well, he purred, sliding his hot palm down my sides. I clutched his hand, nervous at the sensation that flooded through me. Then he kissed me. No, he devoured my lips. His hand massaged my chest, making me gasp and giving him the chance to deepen the kiss. I made a sound which got lost in his open mouth. Ha. I pulled away with a gasp when the kiss became too much. There was no way I could breathe with him sucking on my lips like that. Your Majesty, wait. I pushed his face away when he tried to kiss me again before I regained my breath. Your Majesty, my face caught fire as he lowered his head to my chest. I told you to call me Killian, he responded in a gruff tone. I didn't know why I called him by his title all of a sudden, but he had his mouth on my chest and I couldn't think clearly after that. I closed my eyes when I caught his smirk, but then my eyes snapped open when I felt my legs leave the ground. My back hit the bed and I gasped. He unbuttoned his pants, pulling them down with his underwear, and I gasped again. My body trembled as he climbed atop me and captured my lips again. I held my breath at the weird feeling. It was a foreign sensation, but not an unpleasant one. I trembled, biting my lips as loud, uncontrollable sounds slipped from my lips. What if someone heard? I reddened from the thought. There is no reason to be nervous, Killian muttered, kissing my cheek. A foreign sensation that made my toes curl started in my gut. I stiffened, my hips lifting off the bed. With my eyes shut, I felt my inside still before my body began to spasm. Pleasure washed over me, and my body quivered without control. Killian pulled out his finger and raised my legs, kneeling. As he moved closer to me, I trembled. I'd felt so full with his fingers. Your Killian. I paled when I felt it push into me. Would it fit? Of course, he gritted his teeth. I'll be gentle. With excruciating slowness, he moved his hips, his teeth grinding. I stayed as still as possible as he moved, sweat breaking out on his forehead. It felt like I was being impaled and stretched to the maximum. It took a while before he gasped, gripping my legs tighter. You're tight, he mumbled. Is it in? Almost. He groaned and continued to push in. Then he was completely sheeted inside me and he started to move. My eyes rolled in my head as he moved slowly. There was pleasure, but there was also pain as he stretched me, his rhythm increasing as if he couldn't help himself. He cussed, sweat dotting his forehead. As the pleasure mounted, I could no longer control myself. All forms of self-awareness fled as I begged him to go faster, harder, sobbing as he obliged me. It went on through the night. I tipped over the edge at least 5 times, and every time my eyes started to close, something nudged me, and we went at it again. He was tireless, ferocious, and I was a moaning, panting mess. Noah, baby, are you free? I raised my head from my work to see Bella standing at my door, twirling a strand of her hair between her fingers. What is it? I massaged the point between my eyes, feeling a headache coming on. I miss you. The blonde pouted. When are you coming to bed? Everything in this pack gave me a headache, but this thing clad in skimpy clothes gave me the biggest headache. Bella, I have things to do, so don't bother me, I dismissed, but she refused to be dismissed. Instead, she sauntered into my office with a sachet of her hips. Don't you want me anymore? She walked over to me and rubbed a hand down my chest. Have you found someone better than me? I pushed her hand away and her seductive pout fell, replaced with a glare and curled lips. Who is it? Who is the whore you have been seeing? She shouted. Anyone would be better than you, Bells. I smiled, and she took a step back. You philandering whore. Her eyes shook as I stood. Did you think I would not know that you've been spreading your cheap legs for my beta? What are you saying, baby? Her eyes took over half her face as she continued to retreat while I advanced. How can I, your Luna? I would never make you my Luna. I laughed at the pathetic whore as she gasped. You were excited to be a replacement, and I indulged you. Like a dog, I tossed you crumbs and you wagged your tail in excitement, but you couldn't even be loyal for a month. If you were never going to make me your Luna, then who? She sneered, an ugly look on her face. Is it the disgusting Omega without a wolf that you've been searching for the past weeks? Her eyes gleamed as if she had gotten the upper hand. Red Lake was small enough for me to rule without a Luna. I did not have a use for a mate, and I already planned to use Carrot to take over Alpha Norman's pack. It would be impossible for my plan to work if I mated with another woman before then. Or are you jealous? I blinked at the stupid blonde smirking at me. I know you've been sleeping with Jennifer and Anna, and who knows who else, she exclaimed. So those were their names. Did you think I would sit back and do nothing while you slept with all my friends? Her eyes gleamed with malice as she dropped her sweet, innocent girl disguise. You slept with my friends, and I slept with your friends. It's a draw, don't you think? She took a bold step forward and tapped my bicep. And you are going to make me your Luna, Noah, or I'll tell the entire pack that your real mate is that wretched girl. I couldn't let that happen, but it wasn't for the reason this fool thought. If people found out we were mates, my plans to use her to lure in other alphas to take over their packs would fail. What are you doing? Let go. Bella's nails scratched at my hands, but I didn't let her go. I am strangling you, or are you too dumb to know that either? I asked the whore. There was barely any excitement in my small and backward pack, and looking for my runaway mate was getting tedious, but maybe killing this bitch would add some excitement to the boring routine of leading the dumb wolves of Red Lake Pack. And Noah. She choked, fighting harder as I tightened my grip on her thin neck. She gasped. Please. Her father was the former Beta. The bastard was one of those that advised my father to send me away to the academy. It would be fun watching him search for his only child after I killed her and buried her corpse in his backyard. The idea made me giddy. I could already see the old dog crying his eyes out as he searched for his daughter. As the alpha, I would have to join them in searching for the whore. Wouldn't it be fun to pretend to search for a person I already killed? Noah. Her voice was fading. A few minutes more, and she would draw her last breath. My heart beat faster, and my mouth watered. I'd never taken a life with my bare hands like this, and it made me giddy to do it for the first time. It would be too much trouble, my wolf grumbled. Her father would enlist us to find her if you kill her now. We don't have time for that now. Remember, we are still trying to find Carrot. She fell to the ground as I let her go. Her hands massaged her throat as she coughed. She raised her head and glared at me with tears in her eyes. You are a monster, she choked out with a hoarse voice, and I laughed. Monster. Psychopath. Barbarian. Those were a few names I'd heard people use in describing me in my lifetime. Didn't my father send me to the academy because I was an unfeeling monster who he feared would ruin his beloved Red Lake? Are you just realizing? Like the other girls, this one could not see past the title of Alpha. She wanted to use me to climb up in status, but she would first need my permission for that. Her eyes shone with fear, and it made me warm inside. I should cut out your tongue for trying to blackmail me. Her eyes widened as she gasped and then coughed, choking on her saliva. I'm sorry, she cried out, scrambling away from me. Please don't hurt me. I promise, I swear on all the rivers the moon touches, I won't tell a soul. I won't try to blackmail you. She pressed her forehead to the ground as she bowed low. Pride coursed through my veins, warming me up from head to toe. She'd recognized my power, and now she bowed at my feet as she should have done from the beginning. I was her alpha, a wolf more superior than she could ever dream to be. If Carrot had bowed like this and begged, if she had pressed her head to the ground like this, and asked me to mate with her, to forgive her for not being good enough, then I may have considered her. She wasn't good enough to stand beside me, but I may have found a better job for her to do for me. I would have felt pity for her, but she held her head too high. I missed her. No one in this pack interested me like that. Nobody who carried herself with pride. Killing Bella would not interest me as much as breaking Carrot would. That stupid wench. I saw red for a second. How dare she leave me? Leave this place. I'm forgiving you now, but have it at the back of your mind that you owe me. I kicked out the whore on my floor. She scrambled out like a rat, and I went back to my seat to continue my work. I needed to do a lot of planning to take over Alpha Norman's pack now that my original plan failed. Perhaps I could sell Bella to him, but he liked young virgins, and Bella was loose already. As I lowered myself to my seat, a searing pain tore my insides, turning my vision dark for a second and making me gasp. What the? I collapsed into my seat as the pain intensified. It was as if 10 hands dragged my heart in 10 different directions, splitting it. My lungs were on fire, making it difficult to breathe, and my whole body trembled. Carrot, my wolf snarled. That whore is with another man. She is defiling our bond. I would be angry if I wasn't in such unbearable pain. Tears slid down my face and my fist hit my chest. It hurt too much. Ha! I clawed at my shirt, tearing it off as my nails dug into my chest. I wanted to reach for my heart and tear out the organ. The pain was that intense. It continued throughout the night. When I thought it would stop, it started again, with a worse intensity. Who the hell would dare touch my mate? My mother found me on the floor of my office the next morning. Her bangles jiggled loudly as she rushed in with flowing skirts. Noah. She barged into my office and found me on the floor. Are you okay? She paused when she saw me on the ground, my shirt ripped, chest bloody, and tear tracks decorating my face. Were we attacked last night? I got off the ground, burning with humiliation. It would kill me to reveal to my mother that another man had ridden my stallion throughout the night. I am fine. Why did you barge into my office? I dusted my trousers and picked up my ruined shirt. She blinked for a moment and then shrugged. Look at this. She threw a newspaper on the desk. I found Carrot. My eyes scanned the crumpled newspaper in front of me. Amethyst, the king's mate. I'd heard the story even in our remote pack, but I had never seen the king's fairy tale mate. It was my Carrot. No way, I muttered. That's what I said, Mother exclaimed. Who knew that useless girl would be the king's mate? There was no way she was the king's mate since we were still bonded. Humiliation forgotten, I felt a smile tug at my lips. I did not dare dream so far before. But the king? Yes, I was qualified to be the Alpha King. Killian was not a man to be trifled with, but I knew his secret. He had my mate and lied to the kingdom that she was his. I let out a loud bark of laughter. Shall we blackmail the king and his queen? I hadn't seen Killian since that night, and even 2 days later I still walked funny. He'd been too rough, and at that time I'd liked it enough to encourage it, but now I was the one suffering the setback. Sabrina gave me a back massage earlier today, so I felt a bit better, or at least good enough to take a walk around the main palace. I'd be moving to the Queen's quarters soon, as Killian already kicked Queen Cordelia out. Well, he sent her to a smaller palace at the back, but it felt like she'd been kicked out. Although I didn't know the layout of the main palace, I still went out alone. I was about to give up my stroll after I got lost when I heard voices that made me pause. They were familiar voices. I recognized Sabrina's soprano first, and then Mary's authoritative voice. "Are you kidding me, Sabrina? Have you switched camp so soon?" Mary was saying, anger shimmering in her tone. No, Sabrina sounded pathetic, and when I peeped, I could see her head bowed as she kicked her feet. But she's so nice. On instinct, I knew they were talking about me, so I hid. Nice? "Isn't Miss Scarlet nice?" Mary demanded. "She is working hard to get your brother out of prison." "Isn't she nice enough?" Mary shouted. Yes, but what?" the high-handed Omega hissed. "Or do you want your brother to rot in prison for the rest of his life?" "No!" Sabrina howled. "But Lady Amethyst is one of us." "She's no lady," Mary snapped. "She is just a village girl, so don't call her a lady. Didn't the slave choker look fitting for her?" I touched my neck and almost laughed. It pricked me how she fell to her knees that day to lie on my behalf, but she'd been lying to me. I felt as if I had been cornered by the Queen all of a sudden, but it wasn't just a feeling. She planned that little drama beforehand to force my hand. The Queen must have known that Scarlet had a spy around me. Of course, she knew. She was in cohorts with Scarlet. They sent Sabrina to me, and she'd played me, knowing I would be forced to do her bidding if she threatened someone precious to me. Yes, she... But Mary, don't you think it would be good if someone like us becomes the Queen? Amethyst is nice, so she'll definitely fight for us if she becomes the Queen. "Will she get your brother out of prison?" Mary countered. "No, but maybe..." I heard a sharp sound, so I poked out my head to see that Mary had hit Sabrina across the face. The other girl clutched her cheek as she staggered. "I knew you were stupid, but I didn't think you would be this stupid," Mary sneered. "Miss Scarlet brought you to this palace from the trash you call a pack. She recommended you to the Queen, and this is how you want to repay her kindness? By choosing the side of her rival? But Mary, she's the king's mate, and he loves her. You've seen how His Majesty acts around her and I. I told you about the love bites on her skin." "Shut up," Mary snapped. "Goddess, I should have given this task to Emma. At least that one has a better sense of loyalty than you, ingrate." "I'm not an ingrate. I said shut up," she roared, the sound ferocious enough to make me flinch. "Do you think the king can love a nobody like Amethyst?" she asked with a sneer in her tone. "If I didn't like you, Sabrina, I would let you grab a rotten and then I would laugh when you fall, but I won't do that." Mary's tone became calm and condescending. What do you mean?" Sabrina got nervous. "Since you can't think, let me explain things to you." I saw Mary pat Sabrina's shoulder. "Scarlet is an alpha she-wolf, the next alpha of Dark Moon Pack, the largest pack in the kingdom. The king is a bastard without any political support and thus no real power." Oh, how she insulted Killian, whose eyes she could never meet. "The king is infatuated with his supposed mate now, but he needs a strong woman by his side, and not a useless she-wolf. He knows that, and that's why she doesn't wear his mark till now. Who do you think the strong woman would be when the time comes?" she asked in a falsely patient tone. "Miss Scarlet?" Sabrina asked. "Yes, you're not as dumb as you look after all." "But does the king really need any political supporter? Doesn't he kill anyone who opposes him?" Sabrina asked innocently. "Goddess, you're stupid," Mary screamed. "Do you seriously think the king can do away with Alpha Hawk?" "No?" Sabrina didn't sound certain. "Ha! You are too dense. If you don't want your brother to die in prison, you better do as Miss Scarlet asks. Watch her closely and report everything about her to us. Do you hear me? Why, yes. Who are you eavesdropping on? I almost jumped out of my skin when I heard a voice in my ear and felt a breath on my skin. Don't sneak up on me like that, I exclaimed, clutching my chest as I turned to see Killian right behind me. When I straightened, my back brushed his front and my skin flushed. Ignoring my body's reaction to his, I peeped to see if the girls had found me out, but they were done with their conversations and were walking away. What are you doing here? I asked Killian as I turned back to him. You are forgetting I am the king. His red eyes darkened and I swallowed. Is there a place in this palace that I cannot enter? I shook my head. Arrogant bastard. I was told you had trouble moving about. You seem fine now. His eyes trailed down my body and heat spread through me. Yeah. I fought not to duck my head. He hummed. Walk with me. I'd rather not. The refusal died on my tongue when he raised a brow as if daring me to refuse. Time and time again, I had to remind myself that I was powerless against this man. He could do away with me if I proved too troublesome, and I didn't want to die until I repaid Noah in his own coin. Did you know you snore in your sleep? He said with the same tone another man would use to discuss the weather. And no. I lowered my head as my eyes reddened. You do? He made a sound of disapproval at the back of his throat. Sorry. The apology came out sounding bitter. I will be moving to the Queen's palace soon, so beat with me a bit. Who is giving you the Queen's palace? He looked down at me with amusement sparkling in his eyes. But you said he drove the Queen from the palace with the excuse that he'd given it to me. I'd assumed he was uncomfortable sharing his room with me and was thus going to send me to the other wing of the main palace. You thought I would give you the Queen's palace, really? He didn't laugh, but he might as well have. I bowed my head lower, feeling foolish. He'd used me as an excuse to shake up his enemies from the beginning, but why was I surprised that he'd done it again? The Queen's palace is an unnecessary expense, so I am shutting it for now. I see. The words were dull and impassioned. Did you want it? He asked, and I shook my head, feeling anger bristling inside me. Do as you wish, I muttered. He hummed, his hands clasped behind him as we entered the main palace. I followed beside him in silence the way he wanted me to, and in no time, we got to his room. Why haven't you marked me yet? I asked this question because of what Mary had said. It had raised suspicion if we claimed to be in love, but still hadn't mated yet. Was he really keeping his options open for the future? Do you want my mark? I stepped back as his eyes darkened. We are not true mates, so the mark will fade. I planned to find a witch to create a fake mating mark, but since you are asking, I'm not unwilling to mark you every night. His voice went low, and he stepped closer to me. What? You want to have sex when you disappeared after the last time we did it? I blurted, and his eyes sparkled. He seemed to be in a good mood today. Did you miss me? He tilted his head to the side with a smile. The smile widened as I spluttered. If you must know, the position of the Alpha King is tasking. I did not abandon you. I was simply too busy. He reached for me as he spoke, his lips drawing closer to mine. I leaned away. If it makes you feel better, I thought of you ever so often. You moaned so prettily, Amethyst. I kissed him to shut him up, a chaste kiss that he tried to deepen. Can you stop? I muttered, leaning away as his lips chased mine. How can I, when I know you want me as much as I want you, he murmured, kissing my knuckles. Your scent gives you away. I pressed my legs together, shame coloring my cheeks as my body betrayed me. In the 2 days I spent cooped up in the room, unable to attend any of the various feasts to celebrate the new monarch, I'd thought over why he wanted me, and it was simple. He could not have anyone else. It would raise brows if he was seen with another woman after claiming me as his mate, so I was his only option. I explained away his sudden desire for me, but I had no reason to want him the way I did, in a way I had never wanted anyone. While he kissed my knuckles, an idea struck me and I blurted it out. If we do this, you're going to grant a prisoner of my choice a royal pardon. Are you bargaining with your body right now? His gaze sharpened, but he didn't deny me, so I shrugged. All right. I blinked at how easily he agreed, as long as their charge is not grave. Any prisoner of my choice, I pressed, but his eyes narrowed. Do not push it. Then he said something that almost had me fainting in embarrassment. I am tired. Can you ride? Sabrina better be useful to me. You are burning up. I felt cool hands on my forehead. Leave me alone, I muttered, slapping the hand away, but my limbs were heavy, and I didn't have the strength needed to push his hand off me. You deceived me, I croaked, feeling my throat burn. I'd screamed my throat out throughout the evening and ended up sleeping like a dead log throughout the night, and now I'd woken with a burning fever. How did I deceive you? I couldn't even open my eyes to look at him, but I heard the mockery in his voice. You said you were tired. If the way he'd taken me yesterday was any indication, then he must have lied about being tired. He lied to me to get me to ride him, and then he bent me in half and bruised my insides. He'd been too rough, and I hated how I couldn't fault him completely. It was also my fault. I cringed, remembering how I screamed his name and begged him to take me harder. I liked it that way. Enjoyed the way my thoughts scrambled, making it difficult for me to be self-conscious. I forgot how weak you are, he muttered, and I clenched my eyes tight. When you beg so sweetly, I forget that my weakness is by far greater than your strength. At 20, I still hadn't shifted, and it was clear I would be an omega wolf. Alpha wolves shifted as early as 12 years. Compared to the king, my strength was almost laughable. I should have remembered that before foolishly engaging him like I did yesterday. I didn't say anything else as I felt him leave the bed. Even when he left the room, I kept my eyes closed. With time, sleep took me, and as usual, I found myself in a strange place yet again. Scarlet, leave me alone. The throne is what you want, and you will get it. Prince Seth swiped his hair from his forehead. You have wormed your way into my mother's heart, so I cannot even break off the engagement. Irritation vibrated in the prince's voice. Is that all you have to say to me? Have you not heard the rumors about you and that maid? I am tired of this conversation, Seth cut Scarlet off. I do not concern myself with the rumors around you, so you should do the same for the rumors around me. This dream I'd had many times, but I still could not understand what it meant. Why did I continue to dream of the late prince and Scarlet? It felt like something I should understand, like someone was showing me something, but who? You should respect me at least. Even in my dream, Scarlet's attitude irritated me. You did not think of respecting me when you tried seducing my younger brother? Seth growled, his eyes sharpening. You never respected our betrothal, so do not speak to me about respect. It is not my fault you're not half the man he is, she sneered, hiding behind your mother's skirt while he fulfills your duties to the kingdom, winning all the wars while, Scarlet, he warned, do not test me. Why not? The girl's eyes gleamed wickedly. What will you do if I test you? She laughed. You are a weakling, Seth. And in case you have forgotten, I am Scarlet Hawk. There is nothing you can do to me no matter what I say. Despite it being my dream, I felt like I was intruding on their conversation. I wanted to wake up and get out of this bizarre dream, but a force held me rooted to the spot. I'd dreamt of this often enough to know what would happen next. Seth jumped out of his seat and grabbed Scarlet by her neck, his red eyes shining with danger. Scarlet Hawk, he growled, hair covering his skin as his wolf surfaced. You will not disrespect me like that. The first time I watched this scene, goosebumps filled my skin, but now, after watching it so many times, it was no longer sensational. Will you threaten me with the throne this time? Scarlet was fearless, her eyes changing to the color of her wolf. Do you think you are the only man that can make me queen? She slapped his hand off her throat. You have to choose between the man you love or the power you crave. He laughed, the sound loud and harsh. Oh, wait. He stopped with a snicker. The man you love hates your guts. Seth threw his head back and laughed. Stop it, Seth, I muttered, as Scarlet spoke the same words. All this was familiar and boring even. Face the reality. Killian has loathed your guts since that day, and nothing will change. It's pathetic to watch you pine for a man who would spit on your face if he had the chance. Smack. A loud sound echoed in the room as she slapped the prince. I always get what I want. She sang in a sweet voice, her eyes cold and menacing. If I say I want Killian and the throne, I would get both. With that, she turned and left the room. I sighed, waiting for the dream to end. It was always after she spoke those words that my eyes opened to the real world, but not this time. A hook lodged itself in my stomach, and before I could move, it yanked me out of the prince's bedroom. My vision blurred as I was dumped on the hard ground of a dark room. Can I wake up already? I asked the dark room, picking myself off the ground. The new scene was pitch black, so dark that I couldn't even see my hands when I held them out in front of me. My mouth opened on a curse when I heard voices. Scarlet, you will be queen. Dark Moon's influence will be solidified through you. Do not fret. But father, I couldn't see them, but I knew those voices. I don't want to be Seth's queen, the brat cried. He is the next in line to the throne, so if you must be queen, he is not the only prince. I swallowed as Scarlet uttered those words. The quietness of the dark room became deafening. Careful, Hawk growled. What you are saying is considered treason. Think of it, father, the girl continued. If we support Killian, he would have no choice but to bow to us. After all, he is a bastard prince. With Seth, our influence is limited. Scarlet. Alpha Hawk sounded distressed. Stop. If we make Killian the Alpha King, stop, he roared. What nonsense is this? The man shouted. How can you... Do you know how close those brothers are? If we do something so dangerous, Killian would kill us rather than bow to us. He breathed harshly. He does not have to know, Scarlet said calmly. He doesn't. And the queen? Alpha Hawk growled. Leave the queen to me. My heart pounded. I didn't understand my dreams, but this one, it felt as if I was witnessing a murder plot. Think about it, father. Scarlet's voice became soft. In the darkness, I heard footsteps and a door opening and closing. Then a loud burst of loud laughter startled me. Alpha Hawk laughed loudly and eerily. She is too smart for her own good, he muttered. I gasped as my eyes opened. My mind was groggy as I sat up in bed with a racing heart. All my dreams were vivid, but this one, with Alpha Hawk's laughter and Scarlet's words, made my guts churn. I didn't think I was seeing visions or anything like that, but was it really possible that Scarlet and her father killed Prince Seth? Bile rose in my throat, and I shoved a fist into my mouth. A knock on the door had me blinking. Lady Amethyst, it's Ian of the Royal Guards. The voice was unfamiliar, but I got out of bed, smoothing out the creases in my dress as I went to open the door. Good afternoon, I greeted the man at the door. Good afternoon, my lady. The king asked me to deliver this. He handed me a small scroll, and I skimmed through it, my lips lifted after I finished reading. The Alpha King has granted me permission to release a prisoner, I informed the man. He nodded without looking surprised. Please, get me Sabrina, my aide. She knows him better. All right, I will be right back. He left and returned a short while later with a pale and trembling Sabrina. My lady. She looked from me to the man. You called? Yes, Sabrina. I've gotten a pardon from the king. I held up the short scroll. My lady, her eyes widened in shock. Let's go get your brother out of prison, I smiled at her. My lady. Tears rolled down Sabrina's eyes when we got to the prison. She glanced from me to her brother with a pained expression on her face. How? Is everything ready? I ignored her and turned to the warden in charge of the prisoners. Yes. He is free to go, the stout man responded. Thankfully, her brother's crime wasn't too severe. He'd been caught robbing an Alpha's carriage. I took a good look at the boy. He looked younger than me, so he would be maybe 17 or 18. Do you have anywhere to go? I asked the boy. His eyes slid to his sister. She was dressed in the palace's uniform. No, ma'am. He hung his head. I will take him. Sabrina clutched her brother's thin bicep. I have a friend who can house him. She looked terrified, as if she feared he would be sent back to prison if he didn't have a home to go back to. Very well, I muttered. I will return to the palace now. Come see me tomorrow, Alfred. My lady, Sabrina rushed after me. I will. Take your brother. See me when you get back. I felt the fever of earlier return. My gaze darkened, and I stumbled. Are you okay, miss? Ian caught me. Fine. I gave him a tight smile, standing up straight. The truth was that I didn't feel fine at all. My whole body hurt. Killian had used me so thoroughly the previous day that standing took a toll on me, not to talk of walking. My back ached, my legs trembled when I stood. In fact, I ached from head to toe. Miss. Sabrina still had tear-stained cheeks as she followed me to the carriage. We will see in the palace, Sabrina. I smiled, my facial muscles stiff. The carriage ride back to the palace was silent. I hadn't left the palace since I entered, and I'd never visited the capital before, but I couldn't enjoy the scenery outside the window. Excruciating pain racked my insides. Even my gums hurt and my eyes burnt. Are you okay? Ian asked, but I nodded my heavy head. The carriage ride back to the palace would take at least another 2 hours, and I didn't know how I was going to survive in this state. You could have sent me alone if you feel unwell, the royal guard commented, when I couldn't help but hunch over, clutching my pounding head in my hands. It wasn't that I liked Sabrina so much that I went through all this for her, but I needed her to know that I'd gotten her brother out of prison. Me, not Scarlet, her mistress. The betrayal that stung my heart when I realized she was a spy Scarlet planted was indescribable. She was the first person in this place that welcomed me, the only person. Realizing she'd done all that to deceive me hurt more than my pounding head. I had started to consider her as my friend, but thankfully, I discovered her true identity before I got too invested. Why did I release her brother then? It was simple. I was new to this world. Without Killian, I could do nothing, a powerless queen. I'd have to make my way in this world, and I planned to start somewhere. Sabrina's loyalty to Scarlet was because of the promise of releasing her brother, but now that he was out of prison, she could work for me instead. She was a fickle person, I'd noticed. Her loyalty was easily bought, and now, with her brother out of prison, I should have her loyalty. She'd lied to my face, deceived me, and tried to humiliate me and the king. She wasn't any better than the queen, or even Scarlet, her mistress. She made me wear that slave choker, and I could never forgive her for that. I was deep in thought when I felt the carriage lurch to the side and then skid to a screeching halt. What is happening? I looked out the window to see a deserted road. Let me find out from the driver. Please wait here, miss. Ian jumped out of the carriage. With him gone, I let out a groan, which I had been holding back. You're a bastard, Killian, I cried to myself. This fever started yesterday after I felt him release inside me. It was the first time he did that. Was it supposed to be like this, or was there something in his seed? With a jolt, I wondered if I'd fallen pregnant. No way, it couldn't be that fast. Besides, he asked a maid to bring herbal tea to prevent pregnancy an hour after we finished. Miss, we have to change the carriage wheel. Ian poked his head into the carriage. My heart fell when he said that. It's okay. There is an inn you can rest at while the coachman changes the wheel, he added after reading my expression. Is it far? I accepted his hand as he helped me out of the carriage. My legs were in no condition for a trek. It's not. He walked beside me. I could see the inn sign a short distance from the dusty road. We entered, and the place had at most 3 guests, all travelers judging by their cloaks. I will help the coachman so we can get back on the road in time. Please rest a bit. With that, Ian went back to the carriage. Sighing, I rested my head on the table before me. With my temperature climbing, I recalled the days when I worked in the small inn in our pack. I'd been 16 years old then, and the innkeeper had 2 sons who liked to play rough. My shoulders quivered as I remembered the many times I'd been touched inappropriately by the guests, or the innkeeper's kids. It's good to see you again. My body froze at the sound of that voice. My head became too heavy for me to raise off the table, but even before I raised my head, I knew the voice's owner. "Won't you look at me, Carrot?" My heart fell to my hard stomach. "Or shall I call you Amethyst now?" I shut my eyes as I felt him sit beside me. "Don't touch me." Although I hadn't been looking, I felt his hand reach for me, and my stomach revolted against the thought of his filthy hands touching me. "Why? Are you too good for my lowly hands?" I turned to see Noah settling on the bench with me. Oh, I forgot. "How can a nobody like me lay hands on the king's mate?" His tone mocked me. I swallowed down bile at the rage in his eyes. His eyes and lips told different stories. "Why did you run away?" he asked, touching my hair. I tried slapping his hands away, but he caught my wrist in a firm grip. "You expected me to stay back and continue to be your prisoner?" I sneered, wrenching my hands from his. His grip tightened. "Let go. Now that I've found you, do you think I would let you go again?" He kissed my knuckles one by one. Disgust slammed into me, overriding my fever. My lips curled as the bastard smirked. "You hurt my feeling, Carrot. I've been searching for you for a month now, but you were masquerading as another man's mate." A chill spread in my spine at the laughter in his eyes. "I rejected you, so I do not know why you were searching for me." "By now you should know that I won't accept marrying that old pervert you plan to sell me off to," I murmured. "Being mated to the king is even better, Carrot." He grinned. "You exceeded my expectations, so congratulations." It was too soon. I knew I would have to face him one day, but it was too soon. I hadn't prepared, wasn't ready. I didn't have a plan yet, didn't know what to do with his sudden appearance. It was a no-brainer that he would be looking for me, but the prince's protection. What did he even mean by exceeding his expectations? He spoke like he had planned this from the start. "I am the king's mate now, so you better accept my rejection." A dark look flashed across his face. "You are not," he whispered. "I was on my way to visit you at the palace, but we unexpectedly met here." He looked wistful. "You should be nice to me, Carrot. After all, I am the only one that knows your secret." My heart stuttered, and he grinned, standing. "We will be seeing each other in the future." With that he left, leaving me reeling with shock and apprehension. "Are you okay, miss?" I jolted as Ian came to stand before me. Did he see Noah?" "The carriage has been fixed. We should get you back to the palace as soon as possible. You look worse." He stuck close to me as we walked back to the carriage, and his eyes didn't stray from me throughout the journey back. I was tired, queasy, and lightheaded. The journey felt like forever, but we arrived at the palace late in the evening. Ian helped me out of the carriage, and at the front door of the palace were Killian and Sabrina waiting for me. Killian's expression was grave as he glared at Ian. "Did I say you could leave the—" He growled, about to cuss me out, but my ears rang. The world tilted on its axis, and I stumbled. "Amethyst." Someone shouted my name as my world went black. "What's wrong with her?" I opened my eyes slowly to see Killian and an elderly man standing over me. "I am not quite sure, but I have a guess." An old man clad in cream robes said, adjusting his glasses as he peered down at me. "Ah." He realized I'd woken up, so he stepped back. "You are awake." Killian looked at my open eyes. I saw a look of relief flash across his face, but it may have been my imagination because his expression remained blank and his aura frigid. With his hands crossed on his chest, he spoke to me in a blank tone. "How are you feeling?" he asked. "Hot," I whispered through dry lips and a tight throat. "You haven't shifted, have you?" the old man asked, peering closely at me. My heart lurched in panic, and I turned to Killian. So far, no one had picked up on the fact that I hadn't shifted. I didn't know if I was allowed to tell this stranger the truth. "She is yet to shift," Killian answered on my behalf. "Is that a problem?" he asked without sparing me a glance, despite feeling my questioning gaze burning into the side of his face. "It seems so," the old man responded with a nod. "These are typical signs of a first shift." "Are really?" My heart leapt as I asked, but Killian spoke over me. "Signs of a first shift?" he muttered, assessing me with a dubious gaze. I never heard of anyone experiencing anything like that. Harold chuckled at those words. A man who shifted at 11 would not know of such a thing. These symptoms are typical for omegas. Although the words excited me, however, the fever inside me and the excruciating pain ripping my insides apart dampened my excitement. My first shift had been delayed for unknown reasons, and now that I would be shifting soon, according to the physician, I felt awful. A fire started deep in my guts and spread to my chest and throat. My body felt run over by a horse, but my head felt even worse. My head pounded with my nose feeling like a pile of rocks sitting on my face. "You are an omega," Killian said with his eyes on me, but I felt the words were just him thinking out loud. Yet, I did not miss the disappointment that pursed his lips. I knew I was an omega. When at 15 I failed to shift, the members of Red Lake bullied me the more. The Luna told me they should never have kept me in the pack after my tramp of a mother disappeared. Did he regret it now? Did Killian regret taking me as his fake mate now that he knew I was an omega? From the minute we entered his room after he kissed me in public and lied I was his mate, I knew he regretted that decision, and that the only reason he didn't throw me out was because he wanted to save his face. Mary's words from the other day replayed in my head. He may be keeping his options open by using me, and I knew without a doubt that when he found someone else, he would get rid of me. He said he wanted a woman who wouldn't threaten his absolute power as the Alpha King, but now he must regret choosing the most powerless wolf. The Luna is not sick. This is a natural occurrence for omegas, and in 2 to 3 days, she should have shifted. The man gave me a fatherly smile. "Thank you, Harold," Killian mumbled. "You may leave." Harold bowed low, his hunched back hunching more as he greeted the king before leaving the room. Killian removed his coat as soon as the door closed behind Harold, and then he pulled a seat to the head of the bed. His eyes burnt into my face as he took a seat, and I turned my head the other way, faking a yawn. "Are you an omega?" he asked. Why did he ask such an obvious question? "Yes," I answered, and at the same time he spoke. "You do not smell like a wolf." My eyes snapped to his, but I looked away in time. This was the second time he accused me of not being a wolf. His words had plagued me then, but I decided they were spoken out of spite. But now, I had not shifted, but I was a wolf. I had to be a wolf. "What do you—" I stuttered before shaking my heavy head. "What do I smell like then?" I asked. "I wonder." He brought his head forward and took a whiff of my neck, making me freeze. "It is there, but very faint," he mused to himself. "The scent of a wolf shifter," he added. "Too faint, almost like—" He trailed off, his mind working. He wasn't joking. Lips moving, he muttered something I couldn't hear under his breath. Then his brows creased, and he tilted his head to the side. "Were your parents wolves?" he asked, and I nodded without pause. We knew little about each other, very little. I had to guard my secrets against this man, so I didn't bother telling him I never met my parents. He didn't ask about my past, and I never volunteered to tell him. "Yet, you have a weird scent." Before I could ask him what the weird scent was, he sighed and pushed out of his seat. "I have work to do. I will send someone to stay with you." He left the room without turning back. I let out a deep sigh of relief after he left. In Killian's presence, I always found myself holding my breath. The Alpha King's power was absolute, such that he could raze a pack to the ground without anyone questioning his reason. The effect of such absolute power was a suffocating aura. He said he would send someone, but he must have forgotten because I was awake for a long time after he left, but no one came. With time, my eyes started to close. I fought sleep, terrified of what I would dream of this time, but the harder I fought, the faster fatigue subdued me until I fell into a deep sleep. The sound of a strange voice in my head woke me up. "Go to the woods." The voice was exactly like my inner voice, but different, calmer, more powerful. "I want to see the moon. Go to the wood." I recognized the voice of my wolf as my heavy body struggled to comply with her request. As soon as my heavy legs stumbled into the palace's woods, my legs gave out, and the change started from there. Forced to my hands and knees, hair sprouted all over my skin and my bones broke. The sound of them cracking filled my ears. Heat spread through me faster than I could register, charring my insides. My mouth opened on a scream, but an animalistic sound flowed out. I gasped, but it sounded like the whimper of a wounded animal. My eyes rolled back in their sockets, and for a minute, darkness swallowed the world around me. I opened my mouth on another gasp, but a whine came out. Body trembling all over, the worst of the excruciating pain hit. My head seemed to split open. Getting kicked in the head by a horse would be mild compared to what I felt then. My ears felt stretched out, and my gums ached. My nose became impossible for my brain to ignore as it stretched. All these happened in a minute, but it was the longest minute of my life. It ended with the same abruptness with which it started. I took in a deep breath, my nose picking up the tantalizing scent of the earth, my skin soaking up the gleam of the moon, and my eye appreciating the clarity of the night around me. My head raised to the moon, I opened my mouth and howled to the goddess. A snow wolf, a nasty voice interrupted my howl. "You continue to surprise me, Carrot." I turned to see Noah approaching. "Mate," the quiet voice of my wolf said in my head, and as if hearing the voice, Noah's eyes sharpened. "You are a beautiful wolf, Carrot." He spoke in a cherry tone that spread goosebumps all over my skin. My wolf just saw him for the first time, so even though I wanted to run as Noah approached, to put distance between us, my body went into lockdown. A shiver racked through my wolf as Noah came closer and stroked my fur. "A pure, white wolf," he muttered, his words followed by chilling laughter. "You are beautiful, but it would have been fitting for you to be a brown wolf." I stepped back from his touch, but he followed me. Is this man truly our mate?" my wolf asked with a shudder. He had not yet displayed his cruel side for her to see, but my new instinct screamed danger. "Unfortunately," I answered my wolf. "His wolf," her soft voice whispered. "There is something wrong with his wolf." I perked up at that. There was something wrong with Noah as a person, not just his wolf. He had a narcissistic personality, and even if I knew little about him, I knew of his psychopathic tendencies. After all, he pushed me down a balcony before and accused me of attempting suicide with a cruel smile on his lips. "His wolf isn't sane," my wolf whispered. "It is like... Why do I feel you are judging me?" Noah's smile turned even more dreadful. "Carrot, I am thrilled to witness your first shift as your alpha." His voice turned soft, and my wolf flinched at the sudden change in the air around him. "I do not like him," she declared. "We have to reject him," she urged. "I've done that, but he refused the rejection," I mumbled. A slight shiver racked through my wolf again. "Are you listening to me?" Noah whispered in my ear. I'd been too focused on my wolf to listen to him, but I felt something cold against my side. For the second time that night, my body went into lockdown. I froze like a deer when I felt the cool metal of a knife digging into my side. Still as a board, I forced my heavy head to nod as the metal pressed closer to my skin. "Good girl," he breathed into my ear, withdrawing the weapon. Noah sat crossed-legged on the ground, turning his blade this way and that, the shiny metal gleaming under the moonlight. "I have a job for you," he said, putting the weapon away. "If you hadn't run off like that, you may have had a different job, but this is much better," he mumbled. His words made no sense to me, but he continued to speak without pause. He raised his head to the moon, his hands braced on the ground behind him, a faraway expression twisting his face. I never dared to dream this far, but I have a smart mate. He grinned at the skies, and I shivered, taking a step back. A twig snapped underneath my paw, and his gaze snapped back to me. The smile on his lips turned cold and cruel. "Don't even think of escaping me a second time, Carrot." His eyes flashed, and my wolf whined. It seemed Noah had gotten worse since the last time I saw him when he came to feed me in the dungeons like a dog. His eyes, which used to be cold now, had a terrifying gleam in them. I could see dark circles around his eyes even in the dark, and his smile was especially chilling tonight. "Ah, I forgot to tell you. Andrew is dead." My body went rigid, and I shut my eyes tightly. I wondered what would have happened to Amanda and her son for releasing me. A part of me knew they would be in danger, but there was nothing I could do for them, so I foolishly hoped they would not be caught. Amanda was in her late 40s, and Andrew was her only child, her only family since her mate died many years ago. Why did she do that? Why release me when they knew they would get in trouble? I was going to hang him, but I fed him to the rogues instead. I swallowed at the smirk on his lips. Except you want the next person who offers you help to meet the same gruesome fate as he did? You will do as I say. There is no escaping me this time. What did this bastard want from me? I'd never been as terrified of Noah as I was then. The look in his eyes had my wolf whimpering, and his cruel smile told me he meant what he said. He'd rejected me and tried to kill me and marry me off to an old perverted alpha. I knew he hated me, but it couldn't be my fault because I'd done nothing to him. What does he want from us? My wolf asked with a shudder. You must be curious about what I want from you. His lips pulled up at the sides. It's simple because you are already on the right path. I didn't think you had it in you to seduce such a high-ranked man, but you must have some secret skill. He shrugged. I used to have nightmares of Noah finding me, of him beating me to a bloody pulp, running my charade and dragging me back to Red Lake. If Killian didn't kill me on the way for daring to deceive him, but it seemed I was wrong. Noah rubbed his hands together, and I didn't know him enough to understand his mannerism, but he almost seemed excited. The Alpha King has something of mine, so he must give me something in return. If I was in my human body, I would nod my head in understanding. Blackmail. He wanted to use me to blackmail the king. A chill spread inside of me. I was going to use you to get Alpha Norman's pack, but since you ruined my plans, you will have to get me the pack with your mates' authority. His lips curled. I want Silver Lake pack, so figure out a way to get it for me. Noah was smart. I would give him that. I didn't know how he planned to use me to get Silver Lake pack under his control, but I knew he had a sinister plot. He knew he couldn't blackmail Killian on his own, because the Alpha King would drive a dagger into his heart before he completed his sentence, so he wanted to use me. If the way he dotes on you in public is to be believed, then you already have him wrapped around your fingers, so it should be easy. If not, then figure it out. I am giving you 2 weeks. His eyes gleamed under the moonlight. Even if I had Killian wrapped around my finger, which was far from the truth, there was no way he would give me another man's pack to give to yet another man. And if you think of sicking him against me... He made a sniping gesture across his throat, and I shivered. I've heard he humiliated the queen, so imagine what it would look like for him if I go to the queen with the truth about his mating. He laughed, the sound chilling in the cool night. He had something against me and Killian. Even if by some absurd miracle I found a way to convince Killian to make him the alpha of Silver Lake, he would come back for something else. As long as he had something to blackmail me with, he would continue to return. He'd continue to use me. I needed a plan to get rid of him once and for all. It may be hard, Carrot. He patted my fur. But I expect you and your mate to do your best. I shrank away from him. Now shift. I've been talking to an animal all this time. I have to make sure you understand. I continued to inch away from him, but his eyes dared me to run. Don't test me, he snarled, his eyes flashing the red of his wolf. I was about to take a step back when a blow landed on the side of my head. My wolf whimpered as he hit me with the handle of his dagger. You are still as arrogant. He paused, then cussed. Someone is coming. He looked back. I am sure you understand me, Carrot, so I will see you later. With that, he broke into a run, shifting as he went and disappearing into the night. My legs became too weak to hold me up. I sat, bending my back legs. Noah, he'd become even crazier. I didn't know what he planned, but I could not let him ruin my life again. Killian would kill me before he let someone use me in blackmailing him. Speak of the devil. He walked into the woods with purposeful strides, his eyes fixated on me as he stalked forward. You stink. He sniffed me of another man. He is not our mate, my wolf whispered, and I heard the confusion in her tone. We'd just been bonded, so it would take her a while to fully understand the chaos that was my life. Our mate who just left was a cruel man blackmailing us. But this man whose powerful aura made my wolf flinch, was attractive. I didn't know how to explain it or why, but I felt a subtle attraction to Killian, and now that I had shifted, my emotions were even clearer. I felt the attraction deepen. He was not my mate, but my wolf reacted to him. Perhaps it was a gift of the Alpha King to seduce people by just breathing, Or it may be because he was the only man I'd ever known and we were in a fake relationship. But whatever the reason, I hated this attraction. I didn't want to be attracted to a man like Killian. He defined our relationship from the very first day, and there was no room for feelings in this false mating. He liked nothing about me aside from my body, I knew that. It was dangerous to be attracted to him. It felt like I was blurring the lines of this contract with this unwanted things I felt for him. Shift. A single command from him had my bones cracking and the fur on my skin receding. I did not want to shift, didn't want to obey, but my will took a back seat in the face of the Alpha King's command. I'd been but a mere human before my shift, but now with a wolf I could not disobey. All wolves would bow at the Alpha King's command whether they wanted to or not, because his power was absolute. Who were you with? His soft tone caressed my bare skin. My clothes had been ripped to shreds as I shifted from man to wolf, and now that I shifted back, I was left bare before him. I covered myself with my palms, hunching over to hide. It was nobody, I stuttered, unable to look at him. Asides from my wolf who was meeting him for the first time and faced with a scenario where she was attracted to a strange man and not her mate, there was also the pounding in my heart from the fear Noah evoked in me. My head still pounded from the blow he dealt me. Nobody has a particular scent, Killian sneered. Look at me. My gaze snapped up to his. His red eyes danced with flames that made me swallow. Congratulations on your shift, his velvety voice went low as he gripped my chin. Now tell me whose scent is on you. He didn't yell, but his tone frightened me more than a yell would. Jay. Just a man I used to know. Usually I was more composed than this, but I turned my face away from him. There was no demarcation between what I felt and what my wolf felt. Her emotions leaked into me, and they were new and confusing. I felt vulnerable as my emotions ran amok. Confusion, fear, and attraction flitted through me. Just a man you used to know. I blinked in surprise at Killian's cold chuckle. What was he doing with you? He demanded. He came to cheer me on for my shift. It was the wrong answer. I felt it in the sudden stillness of the forest and the cold seeping out of the king. First shifts were sacred. Only immediate family members and close friends had the privilege of watching a wolf's first shift. Suffice to say, it wasn't something that a man I used to know should witness. A man you used to know came to witness your first shift? Ice poured off him. Look at me, he commanded, and again, I couldn't help but look into his burning eyes. He was angry, pissed, furious. I swallowed and looked away. From the beginning, he started, his voice softening as he tilted his head to the side as if trying to disguise the danger wafting off him by appearing calm. I told you from the beginning that you are not allowed to look at another man even if you find your mate. Did he? He told me a lot of things. He gripped my jaw, forcing my gaze back on him. I wasn't seeing. He cut me off. Today, I will let it go as a gift for your first shift. His eyes gleamed as brightly as the moon. Next time I catch this scent on you, he trailed off, his eyes conveying the rest of the sentence. I shuddered. His gaze dropped from my face to my exposed shoulders. He pursed his lips as he took off his coat and draped the heavy cloth around me. Thank you. My head lowered, but since it didn't seat well with something inside me, I raised my head, looking up as I spoke. You are a white wolf, he said, ignoring my thanks. I nodded. White wolves are rare. I knew that already. Most alpha wolves were black, and other wolves were brown or multicolored, most often white and black. What I do not understand is why your scent is still vague. I froze as he ran his cold nose along my neck, sniffing me. It's annoying, he muttered, pulling away with a frown as he started walking. What do I smell like? I sniffed myself, but I couldn't perceive anything aside a scent that my brain interpreted as mine. Most wolves couldn't tell their scent, relying on someone else to tell them what they smelt like, as our scents were too familiar to us to decipher. Like apples and sandalwood and something I can't place. I stopped walking, pausing to contemplate his words. It's not unusual for a wolf to like different things after their first shift, but it's the scent I can't place that bothers me. It does not smell like wolf. Could it be your former pack? He asked. No. I never smelt like Red Lake wolves because I was never made an official member of the pack. My mother wasn't a part of the pack, so I couldn't inherit her connection to Red Lake, and the Alpha never bothered to induct me into the pack. It was something I didn't know I would ever be grateful for, but it was the reason Noah couldn't locate me after I left. We didn't have any connection outside of an unconsummated mate bond. Remembering Noah had me panicking inside. He would stop at nothing to use me and bring me down. I had to get rid of him before he became too big a problem for me. But how? I hadn't officially become the Luna Queen yet, so I was still as useless as I was at the beginning. Killian. Could I tell the man walking beside me? I shuddered to think of how he would react if he heard that I deceived him. He asked and I lied straight through my teeth. I deceived him. Killian would hunt down Noah, and then he would cut off my head for lying to him. He was that brutal. "What are you thinking about so deeply?" he asked, sparing me a glance. "Would you kill me?" I blurted. "If you have no use for me anymore, would you do away with me?" "Why would I kill my mate?" He raised a brow. "I cannot tell what the future holds, but do not tempt me into ending your life." Those were the words he used, but what he meant was, "Don't betray me." We got back to the room, and I shrugged off his coat and climbed into bed, curling under the covers. I heard his clothes rustle as he took them off, and I felt it when he climbed into the bed. On the first night we shared this bed, we'd both taken opposite ends of the bed and ended up in the middle the next day, but now we both settled in the middle of the bed within reach of each other. He pulled my back into his hard chest, and I swallowed, feeling his bare skin against mine. My insides quivered as he rested a palm on my bare chest. "Your Majesty," I called, and he hummed, playing with my nipples. "I know we cannot keep up this charade forever, so I think it is best we set a time period for this fake mating," I muttered. He stilled beside me. "When you find your mate, or when you get rid of Alpha Hawk, you can stage my death or something and let me go. It would be better than staying in this fake mating for an indefinite time, fearing he would have no use for me one day and slaughter me to be rid of me." "Let you go?" He let out a harsh chuckle. "Let you go into the arms of the bastard nobody whose scent you still carry, right?" he growled, his embrace tightening. "I don't know what you mean," I answered slowly. "But I think it is best for us to... quiet." My mouth snapped shut at the command. "Do not speak to me of this ever again." His tone became dangerously cold. "Do you understand?" He tightened his grip on me. "Yes," I answered, but I did not understand. I didn't understand. It would be best to have better defined terms for our fake relationship. If he considered it for even a minute, he would realize I was right, but he acted as if I betrayed him by merely mentioning an annulment in the future. Did he like me? I snorted at the absurdity of my thoughts, shaking my head. Only fools loved, and Killian was no fool. This fake mating must be messing with my senses. First, my unexplainable attraction to him, and now thinking he liked me. Did I subconsciously hope he liked me? For a long time I pondered this question. My attraction messed with my head, but it didn't make me a fool. I did not think he liked me, but I knew he appreciated my body, at least. It may be because he could not take another woman to his bed, not after lying we were mates and pretending to be smitten with me. For now, the Alpha King could not visit another woman, so he had to make do with me. Now he had become possessive. I would be blind not to see. From the way he reacted to Noah's scent on me, it was clear he considered me his. He did not like me, but his instincts recognized me as his, a property of the Alpha King. His breathing became even as my mind scrambled around thinking of the king's sudden possessiveness and Noah's blackmail. Uncomfortable with the way he crushed my body to his, I tried escaping his embrace. He held me even tighter as I tried wriggling free of his hold, draping his leg over mine and half burying me under his weight. "I will not let you leave," he mumbled in his sleep, his hoarse whisper tickling my skin. That night, it was impossible for me to fall asleep, and the next morning, the urge to leave filled me. No, it was not the urge to run away. It felt like I had somewhere to be. Like, "Miss Amethyst?" Someone called me as I awoke from my 100th dream of Seth and Scarlet. Miss Amethyst, I have drawn your bath. I blinked my eyes open to see Sabrina peering down at me with a nervous expression on her face. Oh, miss, you are awake. She gave me a dazzling smile. After letting out a loud yawn and stretching, I got out of bed naked. Did you have a nice night? Sabrina gave me a knowing grin. Before I heard her conversation with Mary the other day, I would have blushed at the playful teasing, but now I felt irritated. How shameless to stab me in the back and smile so dazzlingly to my face. Sabrina's actions wounded me. I had come to consider her a friend, my first friend, but she was nothing but an enemy in disguise. My heart melted at the care she showed me, but now every smile we had shared seemed like a lie and a slap to my face. She laughed with me while mocking me behind my back. Goddess, that made my heart twist with hatred. Thankfully, she reminded me not to take anyone at face value. The palace was a dangerous and unfamiliar territory for me, and I vowed to be more careful in the future. In this world, everyone put themselves first and they worked for their interests. The king was using me and Sabrina was too. I would not sit back and be used like a puppet to be discarded when I become useless. How is your brother? I asked as I got into the tub. Her smile did not fade, but I saw her flinch. He is fine, my lady, she stuttered. Today, he will start searching for a job. She paused for a second. My lady, can I ask you a question? Let me ask you a question first. I watched the water turn muddy. After my shift the previous night, I went straight to bed, tired and aching, so I was especially dirty that morning. Do you feel comfortable calling a nobody like me your lady? She stiffened. My lady, she stuttered with wide eyes. The first step in surviving in this jungle of a palace would be gathering people. I am the better rope, Sabrina. Scarlet will never be queen, so I am the right choice. I thought. I did not particularly care about Sabrina after she betrayed me, but if she could use me, then I could use her. Scarlet had eyes on me, so I needed eyes on her, and I had one already. There was no need to find a spy when the two-faced Sabrina was here. Sabrina was fickle, I'd noticed, but I now had her brother, so she should think twice before siding against me. Yes, Sabrina. I am showing you that you have not grabbed a rotten rope. I am grateful for your help, my lady, but I still do not understand. Why are you doing this for me? She asked. I raised my head and smiled at her. Whatever she saw in my smile made her take a step back. There's no point pretending. I know you're Scarlet's spy. The things in her hand clattered to the ground. I am so sorry, Miss Scarlet promised. She said she would get Andrew out of prison, and I had no choice. My lady, you have to understand. She fell to her knees, trembling all over. She was such a good actor. Yes, of course, I understand. I grinned at her, feeling bitter inside. A nobody like me, how can I not understand? To have the first person I ever considered a friend betray me like that twisted my heart. While I warmed up to Sabrina, she'd been selling me out. I was wrong. You are not a nobody. You are the future Luna Queen. Her eyes glistened with tears as she raised her head to look at me. Her voice shook, and her position on the ground reminded me of how she threw herself in front of me on the day of Killian's coronation. I could never trust this woman again, after seeing how well she acted, but with her brother in my hands, I, at least, could ensure her compliance. You don't believe I will be queen, do you? If not, you would not have laughed with me while serving Scarlet. I'm sorry, she exclaimed, and I laughed out loud. Fool me once, shame on you, but to fool me twice? You don't have to pretend with me. As Mary said, I am no lady, just a village girl. She pressed her head harder to the ground. I understand you chose the person with the power to protect you, so I don't blame you. I was bitter and resentful, so of course I blamed her. Yet I understood the lives of lowly wolves like us were easy to throw away. My life was so hard because I refused to bow. But if I'd found the right person to bow to, a person who would take me under their wing and guarantee my protection, I may have bowed. I'd have bowed like I now bow to the king. You chose the person who seemed more beneficial to you, but make no mistake, I am the Alpha King's mate. I will be his queen. There is no place for Scarlet, and I have freed you from the leash she had around your neck." She nodded vigorously as I spoke. "Now I am giving you a choice. What will it be?" Silence enveloped the room for a long time. Then she spoke slowly, her eyes still filled with tears. "What do you want me to do, my lady?" Her voice was calm and unlike the falsetto she always used. "The same thing you do for Scarlet." I grinned. "I want to know her every move. Rather than take a passive role, it would be better to take an active one. If Scarlet could scheme against me, I could do the same to her. I will report everything to you," she vowed. "Good." I got out of the bath and dried myself while she watched with a pensive look on her face. Did she already regret her choice? I have heard the market in the capital is large and rowdy. The urge to be somewhere filled me, and that urge pulled me to the market. The market was a rowdy place filled with all sorts of people, including alphas. The royal carriage stood out as the horses cantered forward, people clearing out of the way and wondering what business a royal carriage had in the rowdy market. Let us stop somewhere here. We'd gone round and round the market as if advertising the carriage, but I didn't speak a word. Once I spoke, Ian instructed the coachman, and soon the carriage was slowing to a stop. I did not know why I suddenly came here, but for the first time I listened to my gut and it told me to stop here. Sabrina handed me a white parasol as Ian helped me out of the carriage. I snuck out here without Killian's approval, so I had to get my business done as soon as possible. Unfortunately, I had no definite business here. "Oh, jewelry!" I exclaimed in a falsetto as I got out of the carriage. "The others mustn't know I came here without a purpose. If you need jewelry, we can send for jewel makers, my lady." "The sun is—" Sabrina started, but I wasn't listening. My guts brought me to this market. It made me stop here, and I felt numerous eyes on me, but one. I turned as if searching for someone, and as I did, I caught the eyes of an elderly woman, and it felt like a bucket of ice had been dumped on me. "My lady, where are you going?" Sabrina asked. "Please watch your steps," Ian exclaimed as I almost stumbled after stepping on my dress. There were many eyes on me, but that woman's gaze pulled me in and dragged me to her. I didn't know her. She had a unique appearance which could not be forgotten if I'd ever met her before. Snow-white hair in a boon and one blue and another gray eye. "My lady!" Sabrina exclaimed as she rushed to keep up with my half-running pace. "Excuse me," I said to the woman as I got to her. "Excuse me, do I know you?" It was only after I asked that question that I realized how weird it sounded. I'd been the one to approach a stranger, and now I was questioning her about knowing me. I am sorry." My legs carried me a step back when the seller she was buying from gave me an incredulous look. "That was rude," I mumbled, but the woman grabbed my sleeve. Her multicolored eyes dilated the longer she stared at me. She looked to be in awe, as if she'd found a treasure buried underneath a pile of rubbish. "You look just like her," she whispered, clutching my sleeve tighter. Who?" I stuttered, taking another step back. Her voice. She had a calm voice, but it made the hair on my arms stand. Or maybe it was the way she looked at me. "Madam, please let go of the lady," Ian interjected. He'd been standing calmly at the side with Sabrina, but I felt his gaze burning into the hand the woman had on my sleeve. "Oh, pardon me." She let me go. "This old woman is just excited to meet you." Her eyes twinkled. "We thought she didn't make it, but you." Tears filled her eyes, and she gave me a watery smile. "The goddess never ceases to amaze me." "Miss, do you—" Sabrina shuffled at the side, her gaze darting between me and the woman. "Take care," the woman whispered, stepping back. Wait." I reached for her, but she was walking away already with a stiff back. For an old woman, she walked fast. "Miss, who is that?" Ian asked. "I don't know," I muttered, while Sabrina shivered. "She's creepy," she said. I felt a bit of familiarity around the woman who I didn't know. Something made me come to the market out of the blue today, and instincts told me it had something to do with her. Should I chase her down? She was a woman I didn't know, and as Sabrina said, the energy around her unsettled my wolf, but she had answers to questions which hadn't even formed in my mind. "Can I interest you with anything?" the storekeeper asked. We'd been camped in front of his shop without buying anything and even driven off his customer. His gaze clearly told us to get lost, but Ian growled and he bent his head. Let's go back to the palace, I said to Sabrina and Ian. What? Why? Sabrina exclaimed. You were excited to come here, but now, all of a sudden... Did that woman say anything weird to you? Ian growled. I shook my head. I might be going crazy, but the urge to be here had died. Now, I wanted to leave. Silence filled the carriage ride back to the palace. I turned all my memories inside out, but I couldn't remember meeting that woman before. Did I meet her as a child and only retained a sense of familiarity after the meeting? There was no one to give me an answer. No one except the woman. I smacked my forehead, and Sabrina glanced at me in worry. I should have chased her down. I should have followed her and questioned her. I should have asked her who I looked like. Then, I had a sinking suspicion that she'd been talking about my mother. Tears of frustration gathered in my eyes, but I blinked them away. I'd never been this curious in my life about anything or anyone. The questions burning in my mind could not be answered by anyone other than that woman, but I didn't know how to find her. I had to go back. If I visited that store every day, wouldn't I meet the woman again? We are here. Ian helped me out of the carriage and I went to my room. Sabrina helped me change out of my clothes, and then I fell into bed, my head heavy with so many thoughts that I felt a headache coming on. You've not eaten today, my wolf quietly informed me. Even I am having a headache. Oh, sorry, I muttered, standing. It was my duty to take care of us while we took on a human form, and I foolishly went about without eating all day. On my way to the kitchen to grab a snack, I met the last people I ever wanted to see. Noah and Scarlet were standing in a corner, whispering hurriedly to themselves. My heart fell at the scene playing out before me. Then it pounded in my ears. Noah. Did he tell Scarlet the truth already? Ah, Miss Amethyst, he called as I made to walk past them. It's a pleasure to meet you. His eyes sparkled as he left Scarlet behind and walked towards me. I looked at the redhead woman and felt a wave of hatred slam into me. Her eyes glinted with bitter hatred before the sides of her lips pulled up. My muscles tightened and my teeth sunk into my bottom lip, but I continued to hold my head high. Noah here was telling me some interesting stories now, Scarlet said with a mocking grin. It's interesting that you both have similar scents. My throat became a desert. That's good, but it's none of my business. No one could know my relationship with Noah. No one, especially not Scarlet. But if she mentioned the scent, I squashed the urge to sniff myself and find out what made my scent similar to Noah's. Does your precious mate know that you know such a man? Scarlet sneered. I chanced a glance at Noah. He would be stupid to expose a secret he planned to benefit from, so what did he tell Scarlet? My eyes narrowed at him and his cruel smile stretched. Yes, I snarled at Scarlet, and Noah stiffened. He knows that you're a runaway from an unknown pack? Scarlet continued to taunt. Yes. Is that a problem? I crossed my arms and started Scarlet down while lying through my teeth. You are arrogant for nothing, Scarlet shouted. You are a nobody, but you claim to be the king's mate. You're forgetting I used to work as a palace maid, and His Majesty knows that. I shrugged. You may feel I'm not qualified to be his mate, but no one ever asked your opinion, Scarlet, so go bark up another tree. I brushed past them. After that, I found myself looking over my shoulders all the time, like a criminal looking out for the enforcers. I didn't know how Noah entered the palace and what he had told Scarlet, but I didn't want to run into him. In every room I entered, my gaze scanned the premise in search of Noah, and even Sabrina noticed my strange behavior, but I couldn't tell anyone what was happening. After 2 days of looking out for him, I let myself relax. It was the wrong decision. For the next few days after I bumped into Scarlet and Noah, it became difficult for me to leave my room. Every time I heard a knock on my door, my heart leapt, and every small sound made me jump. When I did leave my room, my eyes darted around the place, and I caught myself wringing my hands together. The only time I felt at ease was when I had Killian beside me, and that was only at night. I kept wondering what Noah had planned, what he told Scarlet, and how I would handle it if Killian found out. When nothing happened for a while, I let myself relax, but I should not have. Staying cooped up in my room for fear of running into Noah made me bored out of my mind. I didn't have any work to do in the palace, but I often took long walks to clear my head. I was walking while thinking of all the bizarre things that happened to me during this period, from my dreams to the strange woman at the market, and to Noah's blackmail when a shadow darkened my path. A big hand covered my mouth before I raised my head. My legs trembled and I gripped the hand covering my mouth and half my nose. In the blink of an eye, my feet left the ground and my attacker dragged me to a corner of the palace. "What?" I gasped as the hand around my mouth fell. "What are you—" My words came out in harsh pants as I glared at Noah. My heart was pounding so fast that I feared I was having a heart attack. "When will you learn your place?" Noah growled at me, his eyes the color of his wolf's. "Do you think because I allow you to be with the Alpha King that you are now better than me?" His eyes blazed with anger and hatred so strong I couldn't help but take a step back. "Don't even think of running, else I'll tell the world what a lying slut you are." My eyelids trembled. The shock of being ambushed and dragged away left me reeling. Taking deep breaths did not help my heart rate slow down. Rather, my heart beat faster when I saw the look in Noah's eyes. This man wasn't a man I should underestimate. He pushed me out of a balcony and framed it as suicide. If he said he'd hurt me, Noah would find a way to make sure he hurt me in a way I would never forget. "You still don't know how to apologize." "How dare you embarrass me like that in front of Scarlet?" he sneered at me. I couldn't speak as he glared at me. In fact, I could barely breathe. My limbs trembled and my heart nearly burst from my chest. The aura around him screamed danger, making my wolf pace in anticipation, so I backed away. What did I do? Instead of an apology like he wanted, I asked a question, and his reply was instantaneous. His hand struck out and he slapped my cheek with such force that I stumbled, my eyes watering. "You're not the queen, Carrot. You are nobody, and you shouldn't forget that," he snarled. "You are the mate I rejected because you are so far beneath me that it is an insult for the goddess to peer us together." He glared down at me with flared nostrils. "I am allowing you to be with that bastard, so I must benefit something from a lying and philandering mate, don't you think?" My mind reeled. A philandering mate? Almost every night since we mated, I felt the evidence of his escapades rip my insides apart, and he had the nerve to look me in the eye and call me a philandering mate? "All I want is Alpha Norman's pack," he continued. "The power of the Alpha King is infinite, so he can make me the Alpha of Silver Lake. Kill Alpha Norman and declare me the next Alpha, throw him into the dungeons and give me his pack. Do anything. I don't care as long as I get the pack." If he wanted Alpha Norman's pack, why did he try marrying me off to the old man in the first place? Knowing Noah, he had something evil and vile set up in the first place, and his goal had always been to take over the pack by using me. "Do you understand me?" he growled, and I forced myself to nod. Rather than blurt out the first words that came to my mind, I agreed with him. "You have less than a week to convince him, or the world will know the truth about your relationship. Remember that." With that, he stalked past, his shoulder bumping into me as he exited the corner he'd dragged me into. I bit down hard on my lips to stop myself from screaming at the situation. Noah would not rest until he got what he wanted, and after that, he would find more things that he wanted. Then he would blackmail me into getting them for him. Wasn't this the control Killian didn't want anyone to have over him that made him reject the betrothal with Scarlet? Rather than Alpha Hawk, now he had Noah on his tail, and it was all because of me. With my mind filled with thoughts on how to stop Noah, I exited the corner he'd dragged me into, and then I ran into Killian. There were 2 men following beside him, and they all stopped when he stopped. I watched as his lips curled and his eyes darkened when he caught sight of me. "That scent," he growled, his eyes burning with anger. "That scent again." I greet your majesty, the king," I stuttered, my eyes darting about for a viable exit. "Who is he?" He ignored my greeting, his body coiled tight. "Who the hell have you been meeting?" The men beside him shuffled, sharing matching looks of discomfort as hair sprouted all over the king's exposed skin. Sweat broke out on my forehead at the maniacal look in his eyes. He was angry, furious. His wolf was just under the surface, pushing forward. What do I do? I looked at the two men with him, and they seemed as flustered as I was. Tell him, came the quiet voice of my wolf. There's no point hiding it when Noah is threatening like this. She was right. I'd thought of spilling the beans and living in peace, but I feared Killian wouldn't let me live if he found out I deceived him. Tell him, my wolf urged. Can we talk somewhere private? I stuttered, forcing my gaze to stay on Killian. I will explain everything. His eyes narrowed. Yes, of course, the men exclaimed. We will give you two some privacy. They took the opportunity to escape the king's impending eruption. Talk, Killian growled. Now. I shook my head. This wasn't something I could risk saying out in the open when anyone else could walk by. Let's go to our quarters. Please, I'll explain everything, I pleaded with him. He looked like he would disagree, but thank the goddess he didn't. Boiling from the inside, the Alpha King followed after me in complete silence. Once he shut the door to the bedroom, he turned to me with a ferocious expression. I am waiting for that explanation, he said in a deadly calm voice. I have a mate. Taking a deep breath, I blurted the words. Then I watched Killian swell, but before he exploded, I rushed to continue. Before you kill me, remember you promised to protect me. What do you... He took a deep breath and then said, You are not allowed to be with another man. I blinked in surprise, having expected him to react much worse than he did. I don't want to be with Noah. I cringed even thinking of it. Noah, he tested out the name. So that's what he is called. He had a glint in his eyes that chilled my blood. Yeah, I said with a bow of shame. He is the alpha of my pack, and when we found out we were mates, he said he couldn't be with me but refused to reject me. I explained my history with Noah to the king, telling him how I fled Noah and why I hid in his carriage and why I needed his protection. I told him about the night I shifted and when I saw Noah with Skylar and how he tried blackmailing us. The longer I spoke, the more his eyes darkened. I feared he might unsheath his claws and stab me from the way his eyes darkened. Sorry, I didn't mean to deceive you, but please, I was desperate to get out of his clutches, and you proposed it, so I knew he didn't care about my situation, asides from the parts that concerned him, and it made me even more desperate. I thought I could get rid of him before you found out, but now I broke off when my throat tightened to the point of pain. Killian looked at me with an expressionless face while I hyperventilated, trying to explain to him. Leaning against the wall, he crossed his arms and spoke. You wouldn't be sad to see him go, would you? See him go? I stuttered badly. Do you know the punishment for blackmailing the Alpha King? I didn't know there was such a punishment, so I shook my head. A sinister grin pulled up his lips. Death. I gulped. Oh, I muttered with a racing heart. With Noah gone, I'd be free from his hold forever. He wouldn't be able to blackmail me anymore, but dying at the king's hands would be too swift a death for a scumbag like him. He had the audacity to covet my queen. A scary expression darkened Killian's face, making me sweat. Are you afraid? He asked when he saw me wring my hands together. I nodded, unable to speak with my dry throat. I promised to protect you, and a king honors his words. He thought I was afraid of Noah, but it was his expression that made my heart pound and my throat dry. Danger seeped out of his pores and filled the air, the expression darkening his face akin to thunder. I have to work now, but I promise the next time you see him will be the last, he vowed. A king honors his words. Only after he left could I take a deep breath without feeling suffocated. His anger sucked out the oxygen, leaving behind nothing but the taste of fury. The back of my legs hit the bed frame and I let myself fall back into bed, arms spread. That wasn't so hard, was it? My wolf asked. Surprisingly, it wasn't. I expected Killian to slice my neck the minute I confessed, but it went much better than I expected. My head was still attached to my neck, and it didn't seem like he would murder me in a fit of rage any time soon. He actually believed me and promised to take care of the situation. My heart stuttered. Could I trust this man? He is the Alpha King. Of course, we can trust him, my wolf said. As a wolf, she was loyal to the king, but I had to think rationally. I couldn't blindly trust a man like Killian, capable of committing the worst atrocities without batting a lash. He was cruel enough for everyone to believe he killed his brother, although ice flooded my veins and my neck snapped to the window as my skin crawled. What the? I got out of bed to check the window, but I didn't see anything. We were so far up that no one could scale up to this room, but for a second, I could have sworn I felt eyes on me. I'm being paranoid again. I closed the window and went back to bed, but Sabrina burst into my room with a red face. "My lady," she paused to take in a breath. "My lady, Miss Scarlet is up to something." I perked up at that, sitting upright. "What?" The way she barged in made my heart skip a beat. "What is it?" Sabrina swallowed. "She is telling people that you are unfaithful to the king." "Calm down," I said, although I was far from calm. My heart galloped and my palms started to sweat. This was the first news of Scarlet that Sabrina would bring to me since I made her my spy. "I can't be calm," Sabrina exploded. "She's such a nasty piece of work. Can you imagine? She is going about saying you were caught with another man." I blinked. Noah. This had that bastard written all over. It must be another one of his plots that he wanted to blackmail me with. "Where did she get such an idea?" I muttered to myself, biting my lips. "It's that..." Sabrina sobered up. "A man came to her today. I didn't hear clearly what he said, but it seems the king accused you of meeting with another man." I pulled at my hair. This time it wasn't Noah. One of the men with Killian at that time must have gone to talk nonsense. Scarlet's reach, of course, was wider than I thought. Did she also place her people around the king, as she did with me? Did she have such audacity? Thinking of all the dreams I had since I entered this palace, I knew she did. I didn't know what my dreams meant, but I had my suspicions. My lady," Sabrina called in a wretched voice. "Are you really?" Her eyes were blown wide as she chewed on her fingers. "Don't worry. I'm not cheating on the king. I'd be stupid to risk my life like that. You don't have to worry about me losing my position." She let out a subtle sigh of relief. "I am going to go see Scarlet," I decided as I got out of bed. If I let this spread, it wouldn't be good. Sabrina pursed her lips, unable to look me in the eye. Yes, but can you not tell her I told you?" I laughed at her request. "What do I have to gain from exposing you?" I asked. "If she finds out you're my spy, then I'll have to find someone else to use." I didn't have friends or family in this palace. Where would I find another person to put on Scarlet? I was all alone in here, so I had to move with caution. Sabrina followed me out of the room, and I paused as a black shadow zipped past me. I jumped back, startling Sabrina. Did you see that?" My heart beat from my throat as I stepped back. No. What did you see?" Her gaze followed mine, but there was nothing there to see. "It's nothing." I swallowed to moisten my dry throat. I haven't slept well in a while, so I'm seeing things. I hadn't been sleeping well because of my frayed nerves, thanks to Noah and the woman I met in the market, so it wasn't a complete lie. "Oh, I will make some herbal tea for you this night. It will help calm your nerves so you can sleep better." Sabrina looked determined to help. Although the shadow was gone, I didn't think I hallucinated it. I'd felt eyes on me in the room minutes ago, and now a shadow from nowhere. It was easy to chalk these things off as hallucinations, but that explanation did not seat well with a part of me. I think I'll see Scarlet another day. With my nerves shaken up like this, it'd be terrible advice to confront Scarlet. It was always a battle with that woman, and I wasn't ready for a battle in this state. "I'll try to sleep now," I mumbled, stepping back into the room. Before Sabrina could say anything, I shut the door and rushed to bed, burying my face in the pillows. What the hell is... The same ice from earlier flooded my veins. A concentrated chill filled the room, and my limbs stiffened. Slowly, dreadfully, I raised my head from the pillow to see if another shadow was slithering about. This time I met a man. "Please don't scream." His soft voice did not stop the scream lodged in my throat. An unknown force did. "I mean no harm." He raised his hands in the air. Who are you? My teeth chattered at the cold emanating from his body. I am Cedric. It's a pleasure to meet you, Amethyst. What are you? Many questions flew about in my head, but I couldn't voice any. You've been watching me, I blurted, realizing this man was the reason I was seeing shadows and feeling eyes on me all day long. Your intuition is sharp, he smirked. Yes, I've been watching you. My grandmother sent me to you. Can I have your hands, please? Without my consent, my body moved and my hands were stretched out to him. He grasped my palms in his freezing ones. Excuse the cold. It's unfortunately my nature. He squeezed my hands in his, then closed his eyes and chanted weird guttural sounds. What are you doing? I cried out, trying to free myself from his grip as the cold from his hands slithered into my body, worming its way into my heart. My teeth gnashed as cold spread vice like grips around my heart, and my eyes began to close. The strange man didn't let me go, and he didn't stop his chants. The more he chanted, the faster the cold spread. Then I felt my body become light. Was this what it meant to die? My eyes rolled back, and my mind went blank. I felt submerged in an ice lake. Gradually, the chants died down, and my consciousness returned. My eyes snapped open, and the world around me seemed to be a blur. The strange man pursed his lips as he let go of me. She was right, after all, he mumbled. And only then did I notice the green hue staining my hands. Who the hell are you? I exclaimed, scrambling out of bed right as someone knocked on my door. Our heads turned to the door at the same time, and I froze. The man raised a brow in question. By now, Scarlet must be telling anyone who cared to listen that I was an unfaithful mate, having affairs with different men while claiming to be the king's mate, and now there was a strange man in my room with me, alone. My lady, I've brought your tea. It was Sabrina's voice, and it almost had me screaming. You have to get out of here. I turned to the stranger standing in my room. We have too much to discuss. I can't just leave, he drawled. Are you not curious about who I am and why I am here? Come another time, but right now, I need you to leave. I shoved at his chest, but he was rock hard, unmoving. For a seemingly lanky man, underneath his black robes, he had a lot of firm muscles. I am sorry, but I cannot leave right now, the man said, just as the person on the other side of the door spoke. Miss, can I come in? Sabrina sounded worried. Give me a minute, I yelled at the door, pulling my hair in frustration as I turned to the man. You? Who the hell are you? As I said earlier, I am Cedric. Sabrina knocked again. I've been sent to confirm your identity. Who sent you? Sabrina knocked yet again. Come here. I grabbed the man's hand and dragged him to the closet. Hide here for a minute. Wait. No, I am Claustro. The words died on his lips when I glared at him. Send her away fast, he grumbled. Then entered the closet. I slammed the door shut and Sabrina knocked again. Miss, is everything all right? The poor girl sounded worried while I hid a man amongst my dresses. Yeah, I called back, running to the bed. Come in, Sabby. I faked a relaxed pose in bed. Oh, goddess. When she entered, she gasped, wrinkling her nose. What's that smell? It's bad, isn't it? I gave a long-suffering sigh while my heart pounded. I'd completely forgotten about the man's strange scent that could not be hidden despite hiding him. It's like... Sabrina's lips curled. I'm sorry, but my stomach is a mess right now. That's why I didn't want you to enter in the first place. I made a show of fanning the air with my arms while my cheeks burned and I gnashed my teeth. Oh. Sabrina blushed almost worse than me. My lady, it's you? She tried to stop her nose from wrinkling, but it was a futile attempt. I almost shed tears of embarrassment as I pretended the foreign scent in the room was gas. I ate something bad. I lied with a feverish face. Ah, I will speak to the chef. Miss Scarlet must have gotten him to put something in your food, she exclaimed, her eyes widening comically. I'll get you some medicine and inform she ranted, setting aside the tray she came in with. The longer she spoke, the more my cheeks heated. I was glad she believed me, but she just had to deepen my embarrassment by making up a scenario in her head. Tea, thank you. It was impossible to look her in the face now. But there's no need. I've already taken medicine. What do you have with you? Oh, this? I brought tea to calm your nerves and help you. The closet rattled, and my heart stopped. My lady? Sabrina also turned to the rattling closet. For the love of the goddess. Ah, I exclaimed, jumping out of bed. Thank you for the tea. I grabbed her, almost shoving her out the door. I will drink it well, but my stomach. Ah, it's best you leave now. My lady? Sabrina shrank into herself as I pushed her out of the room. Are you sure? Thank you. I slammed the door in her face and locked it right as Cedric tumbled out of the closet. Are you okay? I ran to him as he heaved, pushing his hair out of his face. Sir? I touched his shoulder and jerked back. His body trembled so hard. Touching him also made me rattle. I told you, he gasped, raising his head. I am claustrophobic. He heaved as he stood, his dark robes quivering as his body shook. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have pushed you into the closet like that. A strange man entered my room, grabbed my hand and made it green, but the way he shivered like a lost child made me pity him. I felt responsible for his current state, which looked like he would collapse at any minute. Have some tea. My eyes fell on the tray Sabrina brought in, so I rushed over to the table and grabbed the teacup. Here. I shoved it at him. This should help calm your nerves. Thank you. He accepted the cup with one hand and swept his hair back with the other. Then he let out a loud sigh. Ha! I'm really sorry. Seeing a man clothed with power shake like this pricked my conscience. It's fine. I should have left when you asked me to. He scratched his neck. I, too, am sorry. Pink tinged his ear as he looked away. He took a sip from the cup I handed him and made a face, but he didn't say anything. Rather, he drained the cup in one gulp and placed it back on the table. I watched his movement like a hawk, waiting for his explanation. I should be scared of this man whose aura was frigidly cold, a man who came up to my room without explanation or permission, but my curiosity trampled my senses. Besides, after spending time with Killian, it was hard to be intimidated by someone other than him who could kill a man with a single look. So, I drawled, watching him as he took a seat at the table. His movements were graceful like a dancer's as he sat. Who are you? I asked for the third time. I am Cedric, he glared. You met my grandmother a few days ago, didn't you? Grandmother? My eyes narrowed as I remembered the old woman from the market. She said she saw you at the market. The strange woman, I exclaimed, and then stopped myself. I met your grandmother. She said I looked like someone. I remembered the woman's words. I never got the chance to ask her what she meant. I've seen portraits of your mother, and I can confirm you do look like her. I swallowed a lump in my throat. I'd been right then. That strange woman and this strange man knew my mother. Where is she, by the way? He asked as I spoke. You knew my mother. She left when I was a child, so no, I do not know her. Where is she now? My mother and the rest have searched endlessly for her, Cedric said, smoothing out a crease on his robe. Is she in the palace with you? No. Who is the others searching for her? I asked, and his brows furrowed. My mother and her sisters. Do you... He paused, then peered closer at me. You don't know your mother? He asked. I never met her. It sounded shameful to admit. All these people knew her, but not me, her child. She abandoned me at birth. Aunt Victoria? He gaped at me. There's no way, he trailed off, a sudden realization seemingly dawning on him. What is it? Why are you? He stood so abruptly that the chair almost toppled. Hey. I am sorry. He bowed low. I have to leave now. Where are you going? I shouted as he walked to the window. Can't you tell me a bit more about my mother? Before I could even get the words out, the man started to dissolve into a black mist. He turned into a shadow and completely disappeared, leaving me heartbroken. He was the first person I met that ever spoke of my mother. Even the people in Red Lake Pack didn't know her name, but he called her Aunt Victoria. She had sisters too, and his grandmother? Perhaps he was even my cousin. Cedric. I reached for the air where he disappeared and felt tears of desperation sting my eyes. This was the closest to a family I'd ever gotten, and how could he leave after making me this curious? My mother's name was Victoria, and she had sisters. I had aunts, maybe even a grandmother, a family, something I longed and thirsted for all my life. Feeling suffocated in the room, I ran out, not minding the tears on my cheeks or the looks I got for running in the palace. I ran all the way to the back gardens, and then I felt my legs give out. My heart ached. Many questions danced in my head, and the man who could answer them was gone. He awoke my deepest desires, and then he left me with burning questions. I raised my head and then cringed. Are you crying? Noah asked. Killian. I greet your majesty the Alpha King. I looked up to see my beta in a deep bow. I told you not to return without a mage. I put down the papers I'd been reading. So what are you doing here? Your majesty, I have searched high and low for a mage, but found none. It seems they know we are searching for them, so they have gone into hiding. Raise your head, I commanded, and Orion raised his head and sighed. Why would they be hiding? I have no idea, but it's suspicious that the more we search for them, the more elusive they get. The only reason I can think of is that they are afraid. Fear? I leaned back in my seat. What do they have to fear? The mages have remained neutral for centuries, he started. Rumor already spread that we are looking for them, and it's obvious why. It's possible they are hiding to avoid all talks of negotiation with you, who would cut off their necks if they refuse your proposal. Cutting off their necks. I hummed under my breath. I never considered that. Please do not consider that, Orion muttered. Congratulations on your coronation as the Alpha King. I am sorry to have missed the event. He bowed low. Enough with the formalities. What did you find? The mages were proving to be more elusive than I expected. Even if they did not want to form an alliance with my government, was it not too much to hide like rats? Orion gave me a rundown of his search, and in the end, it all boiled down to the same thing I knew months ago. The mages did not want to be found. Very well, you tried your best. For now, let's focus on the internal affairs of the kingdom. There is a mountain of work to be done. The task of the Alpha King was more daunting than any I ever took on. Sitting in an office, meeting with alphas and reviewing documents all day gave me a headache. It also made my wolf restless. I spent most part of my life on the battlefront. Now I was confined to an office. Yes. Orion slipped a paper on my desk. Have you seen this? My eyes skimmed through the newspaper in front of me. The side of my lips quirked up as I read the nonsense printed on the front page. Whose work is this? I asked. Isn't it obvious? Yes, I knew who printed this nonsense. It was obviously Scarlet. Find this news house and make sure it is closed before the end of the day. Yes, Your Majesty. Orion got out of his seat. I have never met your mate, but she looks quite familiar. I raised a brow as he spoke. Isn't she the girl that crawled into your carriage the other day? What if she is? I shrugged. Your Majesty. Just call my name, I cut him off. The honorific was starting to grate on my nerves. Right. Killian, we do not know what kind of a woman she is. You may claim she is your true mate, but you can't deceive me. I know this is a sham, and I am worried. Who am I? I asked my beta. What? His brows furrowed, and I almost laughed as I leaned back in my seat. Who am I, Orion, the Alpha King? He mumbled, and I nodded. That's right. The bastard prince who the world scorned now sat on the highest seat in the kingdom. I am the Alpha King, so what if I take in a fake mate? It would be ideal for others not to discover my ruse, but what could they do if they found out Amethyst was not my mate? Nothing. I know you do not care about your image, but those of us close to you would prefer for your name not to be tarnished. He looked down at the paper on my desk. And the girl you dragged into this, Amethyst, is my concern. My wolf snared at the implication of Orion's words. I vowed to protect her, and I will, so don't say anything unnecessary. My beta blinked. Is she truly your mate? He questioned. No, she isn't my mate. There was no point lying to my beta. Are you sure? He asked with a frown. Hours after he left my office, those words replayed in my head, distracting me from my work. Amethyst was not my mate. The connections between mates are instant once they make eye contact. If she was my mate, my wolf would have said so the minute we met, and we would be connected by the invisible threads of a mate bond. She was not my mate, yet why? From the minute I saw her hiding amongst my luggage, I felt an inexplicable pull. The way her eyes sparkled with determination and the way she held her head made me curious. The pull I felt then was nothing more than curiosity, especially since she had a unique scent, not like any wolf I ever met. When did that curiosity morph into possessiveness? As an alpha wolf, I was quite territorial but never without reason. The first time I caught another man's scent on her, my wolf almost went crazy. That scent, I learnt, belonged to her mate. She belonged to someone else. I had no claim over her, but the thought of anyone, even her mate, touching her filled me with so much murderous intent. It confused me. "You are not my mate," I muttered into my empty office. "But you are mine." The urge to possess and dominate choked me. No one else can have you. I did not try to understand the feeling. All I knew was that it was there. Amethyst was mine, and anyone that tried to take her from me would meet a cold end. My office became tight and stuffy as my wolf growled. I ripped the newspaper that accused her of infidelity to shreds, but my wolf was not assuaged. He called for blood. Scarlet and Dark Moon Pack were a strong pillar in the kingdom. I could not take them down as easily as I wanted to, but how dare they accuse my mate of infidelity? I need to shift. With that thought in mind, I got out of my seat and left the office. One of my assistants met me at the door, and he stuttered some words. I had a meeting with an alpha, but with the tension coiling my body tight, it would be impossible to concentrate on any meeting. "Cancel it," I said to my assistant as I left the office and strode to the woods closest to me. The clean air of the forest cooled me down a little, but my wolf was still agitated. "Amethyst. I had to find her. Your 2 weeks is over, so when am I getting Silver Lake?" I heard a low voice that pricked my skin. "You are not getting Silver Lake," a cool voice that had me moving came. "The king has refused your request." "You whore!" a man screamed. "So it's you." This was the Noah, the one whose disgusting scent always put me off. The bastard trying to blackmail me using Amethyst. "Yai, your majesty." Amethyst jumped. Her eyes were red and her shoulders slumped. Did this bastard make her cry? "You must be Noah," I addressed the man who tried to hide his fear as he looked me in the eye. "I am glad that you have heard about me, Killian." He called my name like we were equals, and it was then I decided he had to die. "I am Carrot's mate, or Amethyst. Is that what you call her?" He had a gloating smile on his lips. "She is my mate." He squared up. "Is that right?" The woman beside him shook. My gaze paused over her as her shoulders trembled. "Yes. You know what that means, right?" The bastard continued to speak. "Since I am her mate, it is impossible for you to also be her mate." "You are right. She could not have 2 mates." I lied. His pupils trembled as I took a step forward. He grabbed her bicep and my wolf snarled. "I know you lied, that's why," he started. "Take your hands off her." His grip tightened. "I do not like to repeat myself, Noah." With all due respect, he started in a tone brimming with disrespect. "Carrot is my mate, so I can touch her." He paused when I pulled the sword at my hip. Orion said carrying a weapon with me even in the office was overkill, but I must have been preparing for this moment. "I'm feeling generous, so I will give you a choice. Take your hands off her, or lose your hands." "Your Majesty, you should not interfere between mates. It should be noted that I gave him ample time and fair warning, but he did not let her go. It is— Ah, you bastard!" he screamed, jumping away. "I meant to cut it clean off." He cradled his hand, which was half cut off as I lowered my sword. "How can you do this?" he screamed. Amethyst looked at him with blank eyes. "She is my mate, your bastard. I have the right to touch her. It's you who should not be touching her with your filthy hands." "Wait till I tell the kingdom what a lying, tyrannical bastard," he ranted. "We cannot have that now, can we?" He raised his head, blood pouring from his right hand. "What are you—" He took a step back. You— The blood drained from his face as he realized his position. "You! Are you going to kill me for my mate?" he screamed. "Amethyst is mine." He scurried back. I cannot allow you to lay claim to a woman I have claimed. He swallowed as he kept moving back. Blackmailing the Alpha King is a crime punishable by death. He quivered. Then he turned and he ran. But it was too late for him. My sword pierced his back and protrudes from his stomach before he took 10 steps. He screamed as I pulled my sword from his back, the sound resounding in the entire forest. I flipped him over and watched as his expression contorted as he pressed his hands into his stomach. For the crime of blackmailing the Alpha King, I sentence you to death by beheading, I murmured, raising my sword and hacking off his head. Blood splattered everywhere, staining my trousers, but the boulder on my chest was finally removed. I breathed freely for the first time since I heard of this bastard's existence. Eyes burning into my back made me pause. Perhaps, was it wise to kill her mate before her like this? I turned and caught amber eyes quivering. Everything made sense then. Mate, my wolf muttered one word. He is our mate, my wolf whispered as if in awe. That's why I was attracted to him. I could not take my eyes off Killian. Several emotions flashed across his face, from surprise to confusion, until finally he schooled his expression. You are mine, he mumbled, wiping his sword on Noah's clothes. I looked down at my mate. No, my ex-mate and I did not know what to say. He was my kill. The words spilt from my lips as Killian sheatheded his sword. Pardon? He walked towards me and grasped my chin in his hand, forcing my face up. Something akin to satisfaction gleamed in his eyes. Noah, I mumbled, and his eyes darkened. I was supposed to kill him. He flinched. Why dirty your hands? He grabbed my hands. I never want to hear that name from your lips again. I nodded, as if dazed. Killian was my mate, not a chosen mate, but my actual predestined mate. Second chance mates were rare, but my case had to be different. Even before my bond with my first mate broke, I already found my second mate. Should I be grateful? I did not know what to feel. A familiar cold spread inside me and shut off my emotions. Words bubbled in my mind, but I could say nothing. I did not know how to react, didn't even know how I felt about this development. I paused to choose my words with care. Does this change anything? I asked in a whisper, as if terrified of the answer. I was terrified. It changes everything. Killian's eyes darkened, and his grip on my chin tightened. Then he kissed me. My toes curled the moment his lips touched mine. Ecstasy warmed my blood, and I leaned into him. He had kissed me countless times before, but this one felt different. It was slow and sultry. The rapidly forming mate bond may have had a hand in it, but pleasure wrapped around me from a simple kiss. His hand caressed my jaw and then slid to my nape, gripping me closer. The urge to kiss him deeper, to taste his skin, burrow into him, to possess and to be possessed by him. It slammed into me with full force as the kiss deepened and my wolf screamed, yes. As if he too felt the urgency, the insane need to possess, his hands went to my waist, pulling me flush against his chest. Our hearts beat as one then, a loud and harsh rhythm that matched. The kiss started a fever in my blood, and I moaned into his mouth, cried out something as he pulled away and panted when he let me go. You are crying. His thumb stroked my cheek. What did that bastard say to you? He turned to look at the decapitated corpse behind us. The tears fell faster and harder. 100 different emotions danced inside me. Relief, fear, even grief. They all warred inside me. The man kissing me just now slaughtered a person before me like an animal. He cut off his head like a chicken, unflinching and uncaring. That man was my mate. You are afraid of me, he said in a quiet tone, his thumb still stroking my cheek. Then he let out a harsh peal of laughter. Yes, I was afraid of him, but I was also grateful to him. I was not one to sympathize with my abusers, so I had no tears to shed over Noah's death. But it all felt so unreal, so anticlimactic. This man had tormented me for months now, a shadow I could never outrun, and in a second he was dead, never to torment me again. The relief was heavy, but the emptiness that followed hollowed me out. You said you would not mind if he died. Killian reminded me, did you lie? He asked with a subtle ring of danger in his tone. No, I answered. unable to look at the corpse behind him. I have wanted Noah dead since the day I found out we were mates, but after everything he did to me, it was too quick. I felt like a cruel psychopath, but his death did not satisfy me. It relieved me, but You wanted him to suffer? I flinched as Killian murmured against my skin, leaning into me. He sniffed my neck and I stiffened. You are quite surprising, mate. He kissed my neck and I felt the smirk on his lips. What, in the goddess's name, is going on here? Orion and other guards rushed into the forest, pausing when they saw the king and I with the spectacle behind us. Who? What? The beta stuttered. Clean this up, Killian said, linking our fingers. Your Majesty. Who? Shall we send word? Orion gazed around, flabbergasted. Throw him away. He is of no relevance. With that, he took my hand and walked out of the forest. It must have been a sight because people stopped to stare as the king and I walked back to the main palace, blood splattered across his white uniform. Back in the room, he kicked off his shoes and pants, undressing without care. I sat on a chair with slouched shoulders, thinking of what just happened. I felt overwhelmed. Noah was gone, and Killian was my mate. This sham of a mating was now real. We were mates. Predestined. Stop being sad. I raised my head and blinked at the king's command. Else I would believe you cared for him. My lips pursed immediately. It doesn't work that way, I muttered. He'd donned a robe as he sat beside me. Explain to me how it works, then. Our thighs touched because of his proximity. Be fast about it, he whispered against my neck. I told you all the things he did to me. He refused to reject me, and he threw me into the dungeons for 3 weeks. I was starved of food and water, and in all my time there, all I could think of was staying alive to make him regret ever treating me that way. It was true that I wanted Noah to suffer, but he was gone now. I wanted to laugh in his face the way he laughed in mine. I wanted to break him the way he broke me, but I am ecstatic he would never touch me again. I am grateful, really, but now that revenge is no longer on the table, I feel empty. I can fill you up with something else. His words were suggestive, tone heated. I know how it feels when a prey is snatched right from your fingertips, but as long as I live, I would never let you soil your hands with blood. I do not regret it, and if you feel empty, I am more than capable of filling up that emptiness. Arrogant words from arrogant lips. It was nothing short of what I expected from the Alpha King. He was the Alpha King, the highest authority after the goddess. And he was my mate. That fact was somehow harder to comprehend than Noah's gruesome death. His thumb rubbed my bottom lip as I stared straight ahead. Look at me, his soft voice coaxed me. I turned my head and the heat in his eyes made me swallow. I told you I would protect you. I nodded my head. I claimed you even before we found out we are mates. Again, I nodded. Was his instinct that good that he recognized me as his mate, despite my bond to another man? You are my mate, my Luna and my queen. This is no longer a farce. You are my mate, and it is my duty to protect you. His eyes shone. And as your king, I forbid you from staining your hands with blood. He gripped my hand. I will do the killing, the protecting. If you must have revenge, then I will get it for you. Do you understand me? I shook my head. No, I didn't understand. I don't understand you at all. It's simple. He kissed my hands. You are mine, and I like your innocence. Don't taint it. It was not the first time I realized I was in trouble with this man, but it was the first time since we found out we were true mates that I realized things may have gotten worse now. It was on the tip of my tongue to tell him to go back to how he used to be, for him to go back to not caring what I did with my life, but I held myself back. The possessiveness shining in his eyes was dangerous, and I knew it was not the time to speak. We no longer need a witch for a mating mark. The lust shining in his eyes made my guts tighten. I was thankful that the work of the Alpha King called Killian away before he kissed me, because it gave me time to gather my thoughts. Killian was my mate. Our sham of a mating had become true. The other day I was talking about setting a time frame for our contract, thinking he would find his mate and do away with me, but I was the said mate. It's not a bad thing, my wolf muttered. He is attractive and he is the king. Why was I freaking out about being his mate when I already agreed to be his fake mate? Simple. The dynamics of our relationship were about to change. There was just something different about being a fake and a true mate. I agonized over this for quite a while, days to be precise. In that time, Killian's workload increased, so I did not see him frequently. "My lady," Sabrina knocked on my door. I asked her to come in, and she entered with a face full of anxiety. "There is a man here to see you," she twiddled her thumb. "Man?" My brows furrowed. What man would look for me? Who is he? He gave the name Cedric. My heart stuttered, and whatever Sabrina saw on my face made her expression fall. Is he someone important to my lady?" Her lips curled as she spoke. "Sabrina, if you think I am being unfaithful to my mate with this man, then you are wrong. The rumor of me seeing a man other than Killian had spread. You of all people should know that my schedule doesn't involve meeting strange men." I got out of my seat, closing the book I'd been reading. "Let's go." I wondered if Killian had heard the rumors about me cheating on him. If he had, he said nothing about them. "But, my lady," Sabrina followed behind me. I felt unease wafting off her as she followed. "If you meet this man now, the gossip will get worse," Sabrina whispered. "Everyone would assume he is your lover." She already assumed I had private dealings with Cedric. I ignored her protests as I went to meet Cedric. An attendant had served him tea, and she watched him so intensely it seemed she wanted to commit his face to memory. "You are here." Cedric gave me a smile as I entered. "It's a pleasure to see you again, Amethyst." He got out of his seat to greet me. "Leave us," I said to the maid, plopping into the seat opposite him. "But," Sabrina protested. Her shoulders slumped when I glared at her, and she exited the room with a devastated expression. "Is this a bad time?" Cedric asked, taking a sip of his tea. He did not raise his cup fast enough for me not to see the corner of his lips go up in a smirk. "Pardon me if meeting me like this is too much of a hassle for you, but I felt this is more appropriate than the last time." "It's okay," I said with a shrug. He spoke as if he knew the gossip about me being unfaithful to my mate, but at this point, I did not care. Despite everything that happened in the last 5 days, I'd thought often of this man. "How are you?" he asked, crossing his legs. "I am all right. You mentioned something the other day that kept me up for several nights. I cut right to the chase. Just who are you and what do you know of my mother?" "I told you already. I am Cedric." He smirked this time. "Aunt Victoria left the coven when I was a toddler, so I do not remember her. If you will not tell me anything," I started in a low voice to mask my frustration. "Why do you keep seeking me out? My grandmother decided it would be best for me to communicate with you out of all of us. I have shadow magic, you see, so it would be easier for me to enter and exit the palace without others finding out my identity." Again, he took a sip of his tea. "Who are the others?" I forced my voice to be leveled, but I was half out of my seat, desperate for the crumbs of information he fed me. "Amethyst, you are not dumb. With everything I have told you, can you not tell who I am or who the others I speak of are?" His brows lifted. Are you perhaps mages?" I mumbled, my heart pounding. "Correct." My heart pounded faster. "There is no need to be afraid," he said. "I was not sent to hurt you." "So, what do you want from me?" I stuttered, pressing my back into my seat. The confirmation of the thoughts that had circled my mind in the past terrified me. My brain ran amok, putting the pieces of information together. Mages, covens, his grandmother, my mother. They were all connected, and me. You can guess that, can't you? He spoke with a drawl, waiting for me to catch on, but I was hyperventilating. Was my mother a mage? The question slipped from my lips. My legs bounced as a sudden restlessness overtook me. "The strongest of her sisters," Cedric muttered. "A spirit mage and leader of our coven." His tone sounded regretful. "Do you know what happened to her?" If my mother was a witch, then I knew what that meant for me, but it was too much for my mind to wrap around, so I asked another question. "You happened." He assessed me from head to toe before he continued. "She fell in love with a wolf, and shortly after, she disappeared." My palms became sweaty. "She told no one where she was going, but looking at you, I have an idea." "Where is Aunt Victoria, Amethyst?" His words were cold and emotionless. Have you considered you may have the wrong person? I shrunk back from his cold and accusatory tone. My mother was a wolf, and she left me in the hospital after I was born. I don't think your aunt has anything to do with me. He whipped out of his seat so fast I gasped, "Give me your hand." My spine went rigid when I saw the shadows, like dark smoke twirling around him. "Give me your hand if you want confirmation." Slowly, tentatively, I held out my hand to the man and flinched at the biting cold I felt. "This is your confirmation," he whispered, as this time green light danced with the dark shadows around him. "This is the mark of a spirit mage, the last of which was Aunt Victoria." He let my hand drop. My teeth chattered after he let me go. The intense cold from his touch and the mind-boggling realization had me shivering. In a far part of my mind, I registered him putting his cloak around me, but it did not stop the cold from rapidly spreading inside me. A child of a wolf and a witch. A hybrid. My mind broke. The shivering stopped as abruptly as it started. My mind went black, and all of a sudden I could hear nothing again. I felt nothing and saw nothing. My body went still, and the world faded around me. Snap out of it. A whirling started in my head. Hundreds of voices thundered. I heard screams so loud they made my eardrum ache. Then I felt the biting cold again. It penetrated my body, my mind, kicking out the numbness. "Amethyst, snap out of it." A voice like night whispered the command to me, and my eyes fluttered open. What happened? I found myself on the ground with Cedric kneeling beside me, my hand in his. I pushed off the floor, wrenching my hand out of his as I felt a headache starting. "You may have had a panic attack. You screamed and fell out of your chair." Embarrassment colored my cheeks. "Thank you." I got off the ground and dusted my skirt. Getting back into my seat, I asked a question with an obvious answer. "Does it means I am a hybrid?" "Have you shifted?" he asked, rather than answer my question. "Yes, recently," I responded. "You have a wolf and you have spirit magic. So yes, that makes you a wolf-witch hybrid." I swallowed. "Our kind come into their powers at 16, and I think it is 15 for the wolves. Anyway, since you only shifted recently, it's possible that you experienced a late development due to your two sides trying to mature together." This man made everything seem rather normal when it was not. My identity just witnessed a 180 shift. I just went from being a werewolf to a wolf-witch hybrid, and he spoke as if it was a normal phenomenon. "Were hybrids normal for mages?" Are hybrids normal for your kind?" I asked. "Normal? No, definitely not. Our kind keep to ourselves. In fact, there are older covens that believe hybrids should not exist." I blinked in disbelief. I had been born, it seemed, with a raised death flag. "You are nonchalant about all this," I muttered, then sighed. He could be nonchalant about all this because they did not affect him. I was the hybrid, the one with unknown origins, and the one who could be hunted down by mages who consider me an abomination. As the Luna Queen and a person with spirit magic, there is very little anyone can do to you. I blinked at his response. The Luna Queen? Yes, indeed I was set to be the Luna Queen. Once Killian marked me, I would be the official Queen of Wolves, after which all that was left would be to take an oath to the kingdom. I did not understand what being a spirit mage meant, but I understood the power of the seat of the Luna Queen. "My grandmother would like to meet you," Cedric muttered. Although we never found Aunt Victoria despite searching for 2 decades, she still held out hope because Grandma sensed Aunt Victoria's essence. He paused with a pensive expression on his face. After a minute of silence, I felt the need to say something. "If my mother is your aunt, does that make us cousins?" His gaze snapped to mine, and he let out a small chuckle. "Goddess, no." He shook his head with a grin that transformed his cold look. "Mages of the same coven are sisters. Our mothers belong to the same coven, which makes them sisters. We are not related, I am sorry." Was my longing for a family so obvious, enough for a stranger to notice? I grew up with no one, so it was not unexpected that I spent a lot of time crying for a family. My mother abandoned me, and according to what the wolves of Red Lake told me, My father also denied me once my mother got pregnant. None of these stopped me from wishing for a family. Can you tell me about my mother? He shook his head, and I remembered he was a child when she left. Well then, about the coven? He sighed. Your mother, as I said, was a spirit mage. Spirit mages are powerful, as they can draw energy from the elements around for their magic. Since he couldn't tell me about my mother or the coven, he spoke about her powers. They are the best spellcasters, and also the rarest mages. So I am a spirit mage, I muttered, looking at my hands. Could I cast spells with these hands? You are a hybrid with a bit of spirit magic. I do not want to give you false hope, but your magic, from what I can see, is dormant, and it can remain so for the rest of your life. I looked down at my hands and laughed. It was unsurprising that even as a hybrid I would be useless. Is there any way to activate it? I refuse to be useless. If it's not too much to ask, can you teach me how to use magic? I am unfamiliar with hybrids, so I can't be certain teaching you will not be a waste of my time. He was blunt. I would give him that. Have you ever had an experience out of the ordinary? If you have, then there may be a chance of activating your magic. I racked my brain for anything that happened that may be classed as extraordinary. A lot had happened. From being a fake mate to a true mate, Noah's death, all of that. But I did not think he meant something of that nature. A thought struck me. I've been having dreams, I muttered. I'd mentioned nothing of my dreams to anyone because I had no one to discuss them with, but... Dreams? He looked unimpressed. What kind of dreams? I think of the past. He remained unimpressed. I've been dreaming of Prince Seth, I mumbled, but he still looked at me as if it was nothing out of the ordinary. He was your mate's brother, so... He started with a dismissive tone, but I cut him off. I never met Prince Seth, and I've been dreaming of him, but that's not the main point. I call them dreams, but they are more of out-of-body experiences that happen when I fall asleep. It's like I'm whisked off and made to watch certain events from the past, like a theater play? Did my explanation make any sense? You say you have been dreaming the past? He leaned forward. A past you never experienced? I nodded. A strange expression crossed his face, but he schooled his expression quickly. Is it connected to spirit magic? He shook his head. No, He paused, biting his lips. There are a class of mages that see the future, and there are spells to reveal the past, but out-of-body experiences? That is my... He cut himself off and cleared his throat. Of course, the abilities of a spirit mage differ from individual to individual, so it is not... He rambled, and I lost focus, unable to keep up with the many things he was saying. I have to go. He stood abruptly. Oh, I rushed to stand too. When next will we meet? How do I contact you? I will have to consult the elders about your case. Before next week, I will contact you, he promised. You will teach me to activate my magic, won't you? I asked as shadows danced around him. As a wielder of spirit magic, it would be my honor. He gave a small bow, and then he started to turn to black smoke. After a while, he completely vanished, leaving behind a biting cold that did not last long. I sank back into my seat and clasped my head between my hands. First Killian, and now a hybrid. How many more things were there for me to discover about myself? After a few more minutes in the empty room, I got up, ready to go back to my room, but I met Scarlet coming down the stairs. Her eyes sparkled when they fell on me, and I knew she came bearing trouble. If it isn't the philandering whore. She made a show of sashaying down the stairs. I was half tempted to ignore her and go my way, yet I also did not want to ignore her. I used to run away, but now I stood my ground. Are you talking to me? I crossed my arms, waiting for her to come down the stairs with the attendants behind her glowering at me. This woman's influence in the palace was strong, and I had to do something about it. Who else would be shameless enough to see other men while claiming to be the king's mate? She finally stopped her sachet halfway down the stairs. I warned Killian about taking a maid as a mate. True mate or not, you are nothing but a vulgar thing. I know you have been spreading rumors about me, Scarlet, I muttered, staring her down. I have heard them and ignored them because as the future Luna Queen, it's a trick too small to pay attention to. Her jaw worked as she gritted her teeth. Why would I spread rumors about a thing like you? She snarled, her emerald eyes flashing the red of her wolf. She had a bad, fiery temper. Unfortunately for her, she could not touch me. Isn't it obvious? I smirked. You are jealous of me. She scoffed, the attendants beside her laughing too. Who are you that I would be jealous of? She snarled. I, Scarlet Hawk, jealous of a nobody maid? She scoffed. No, I was not a nobody maid. Not anymore. I was Amethyst, a hybrid, soon to be Her Majesty, Luna Queen Amethyst the First. I did not bow easily before, but now I had no reason to bow and no reason to cower. Scarlet Hawk, do you want to pretend not to be jealous of this nobody maid that would be taking the seat you worked so hard to get? I took a step and kept my gaze on her. Do you want to pretend that the woman who took the seat of Luna Queen and the man you have been pining for all your life is a nobody? I took another step. The position you committed all sorts of atrocities for will be filled by a nobody from nowhere. I continued to move forward. Can you pretend you are not boiling inside with jealousy? I stopped in front of her.
How dare you talk to me like that? She asked, breathing harshly. No, I made my tone as soft as Killian's. How dare you talk to me like that? Who are you that I cannot talk to however I want? I am Scarlet Hawk, the woman with the highest position in this kingdom. She had a flair for theatrics, a penchant to display childlike behaviors when things didn't go away.
I see you have chosen to be a drama queen, since you cannot be the Luna Queen. I patted her shoulder. And no, I am the woman in the highest position in this kingdom, the Alpha King's mate. The king's mate without a mark. She laughed, her eyes twinkling. If he regarded you as anything, he would have marked you by now. Or is he scared the mark would fade, and we would all see this? Your fairy tale mating is a lie. You have a lot of audacity to accuse the Alpha King of being a liar. And if it is a mark, I can have one before night falls. Her eyes twitched. As we both know, Scar, I leaned into her. The men of this family cannot keep their hands off maids. Her pupils trembled, and not for the first time. I knew my dreams were not just dreams. I was seeing the past, and if my intuition was correct, Scarlet and her father had a hand in Prince Seth's death. No, I was certain they killed him. Sitting in a meeting with corrupt old men while my mate went around without a mark made me itch. I made excuses for her because I could see she was not ready. I took to avoiding her because I felt how wary she had become of me. It may be fear induced by how cruelly I had killed her first mate or something else. Something else I did not know, but it seemed Amethyst did not want our mate bond. I tugged at the button on my shirt. The urge to touch, to possess, to bury myself in her and never let her go, it slammed into me at odd hours of the day. My wolf snarled at me to mark her, to hold her because it felt like she was slipping through my fingers. Possessiveness tramped rationality and reason most of the time, but I held myself back. If she glimpsed a fraction of the urges eating at me, she would be terrified. They terrified me. Your Majesty, about the rumors surrounding that woman, what do you say? Alpha David, the leader of the new Alphas, and the supposed opposition of the true Alphas, said, "What woman?" I feigned ignorance as the people beside him shifted in unease. Amethyst, David responded with fail, the name gliding off his tongue with disrespect. We were engaged in our weekly meeting of the council, made up of the 10 most influential alphas and their betas. Alpha David lead the new alphas, a faction of alphas that were not born from the founding alphas of the kingdom. They claimed to be the opposition of the true alphas, but in reality, Alpha Hawk had David in his pocket. He was nothing more than a puppet, the same thing Hawk wanted me to be. Call that name with respect, Orion interjected, but I raised my hand to silence him. Per my decree, slander against my mate is punishable by death. David paled, but he did not back down. Your Majesty, can it be considered slander if it is a fact everyone in the kingdom knows? He pushed. It was clear that Alpha Hawk was pushing him silently. Every alpha in this room was under Hawk's control in one way or the other. He controlled the alphas both true and new, and as such, to reduce his power, there was a need to remove his pawns. Alpha David, new or true alpha, you will not speak ill of my mate, especially in my presence, I muttered, massaging my temple. The penalty is death, whether it be a small fry like you or the big fish prompting you. Alpha Hawk smirked. If she is your mate, another alpha interjected. Pardon my forwardness, but why does she not wear your mark yet? I cannot pardon your forwardness. This meeting is to discuss the progress of the kingdom, not my mating habits. I brushed off the question. Unfortunately, Hawk finally spoke. Your mating habits contribute to the betterment of this kingdom. You have been the king for a month now, and the woman you claim is your mate does not wear your mark. If you are unwilling to take a mate, even if it is a woman you claim is your true mate, then it makes us worry that your majesty is not a man of commitment. Also, how do we speak of the betterment of the kingdom without thinking of the next generation? If it is a mark you want, I started slowly, there will be one before midnight. Ready the kingdom to welcome her official queen. Hawk gritted his teeth. But a philandering woman, Alpha David interjected. Accuse my mate of infidelity one more time and I will cut out your tongue. I pulled the sword from my waist and placed it on the table. My days of war may be well behind me as I was now the crowned king, but it did not mean I could not slice off a head. Your Majesty, this is quite distasteful, Hawk exclaimed, unable to keep his cool. He and his daughter were always like that. Despite the power they wielded, it was difficult for them not to throw a tantrum when things went in a different direction than they planned. Distasteful, Alpha Hawk? I leaned into my seat. It is this sword that has brought peace to this kingdom. I reminded them that I was, in fact, a warmonger. Without this sword, rogues would have ravaged this kingdom to the ground. What is distasteful is a rat calling my mate a promiscuous woman without thought or fear. I sheatheded my sword. Alpha David, I do not wish to see your face for the next 10 weeks. Your Majesty, it is impossible for me to miss. The man started with a stutter, his eyes sliding over to Hawk ever so subtly. Without attending these meetings, how could he solidify his position as a leader? If he could not represent the new alphas here then, they would be quick to choose a new leader. As the Alpha King, my word is, the law and this meeting is over. I got out of my seat and exited the hall, leaving the men to chatter behind me. Orion brought up the rear, catching up with me with a dubious expression on his face. Your Majesty, Killian, is it okay to mark her knowing she is not your true mate? The mark will fade and someone would notice. She is my mate, I muttered. I know you consider her your mate, but marks between chosen mates tend to fade. She is both my true mate and my chosen mate. He gave me a look of disbelief. If I mark her now, I stopped myself as the beast inside me purred. But you, just the other day you said, remember that decapitated corpse from a few days ago? I asked, and then narrated the incident to Orion. My beta's mouth opened wider and wider the more I spoke. You are telling me all along she had a mate? That was the first thing he picked out. Orion went on a long rant that ended with, You lucky bastard, he grumbled. It's like everything is set in place for you these days. After so much talk about my mate, the urge to see her overwhelmed me. Go to her, my wolf urged, and I gave in, my resolve weak. When I got to the room, she was not there. According to Ella, or was it Emma? The maid I had watching her said she only visited the library in the morning and evenings and the kitchen sometimes. Where was she now? On my way to the library, I met a familiar girl. She paled when she saw me and almost ran off. Sophia, is it? I called the brunette as she offered a greeting and tried to hurry past. Where is Amethyst? She bowed low, avoiding my face. Your Majesty, the lady has a guest. They are in the Queen's living room. A guest? My brows scrunched. Did she know anyone in the capital, or had the alphas started to harass her already? I found my way to the living room and met my mate with a man gripping her hand. On reflex, I closed the door and took a step back, feeling my heart pound. I saw red for a split second, but I forced myself to be calm. Although acquaintances at best, I would say I knew Amethyst well enough not to believe the rumors Scarlet spread. Besides, I had my eyes on her every move, so I would know if she started seeing another man. So who the hell was this? My control slipped. The longer I stood outside the door, urging myself not to barge in there and wring that man's neck, the harder it was to silence my wolf. Who is he? How dare he touch the king's mate? Styx shouted. I want to spill his blood, he snarled. If I confronted her now, it would end in bloodshed. The way she reacted after I decapitated her first mate still played in my head. No matter how much she claimed to hate that man, her reaction to seeing me act so callously had been cold. I could not stomach it a second time. Kill that bastard! Where are you going? My wolf shouted as I walked out of the main palace. Someone else has his hands on our mate. I am sure there is a perfectly good explanation, I gritted out. If I go in there, you will go berserk. My legs were heavy when I went back to my office. There was nothing compromising about their position, but I felt irked. When I got to the office, I called the guards stationed around Amethyst. Alpha. Zion bowed as he entered. That man, the one with my mate, throw him in the dungeons and make sure he is chained with silver. Yes, Alpha, Zion responded and rushed off. If it was Zion, then I knew my request would be met. Even after that, I had no peace still. I forced myself to focus on work, but my mind kept straying. Damn it, I cursed, getting out of the office. It was impossible to do anything now. I had to mark Amethyst, had to claim her, bind her to my side for life, because only then would I be at peace. An overwhelming, almost dangerous urge to possess filled me, but I pretended nothing was out of the ordinary.